Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. My childhood sweethearts are actually game bosses. Chapter 61. Zhang Xiaoming shouted in horror in the class. You have all been admitted to the inner sect too. And Yi Zhe, you have become the principal's direct descendant. As soon as these words came out, the heads of all the students in the class turned around, and their eyes focused neatly on him. The children's voices of wonder and discussion continued. Yi Zhe sighed and said helplessly, Why are you shouting so loudly? Why am I shouting so loudly? This is the principal's personal message. Zhang Xiaoming gritted his teeth and clenched his fists tightly. I thought I had finally defeated you once, but you actually overtook me. But I will never give up. One day, I must win you once. No matter what, it's fine. Hey, Yi Zhe, did you hear that? Quote. Yi Zhe acted very calmly, neither feeling much joy nor feeling that this thing was worth showing off. The report card was on the table in front of him, but to him it was just an ordinary piece of white paper. Of course he understands his talent. With SSS level learning ability in 10 professions, coupled with the Demon King level ancient mutant bloodline, in terms of talent, there should be no one in the entire human empire who can match him. But Yi Zhe couldn't understand why the attitude of the college's superiors suddenly changed so drastically. Inexplicably, he was sent to the inner door. And he is actually the direct descendant of the legendary principal. As far as he knew, the legendary principal had not accepted any direct students for almost 100 years. He and Gao Shenzhou were both members of the demonic family. Especially since he is the son of the current head of the Yi family, there is a high probability that he will take over the position of Viscount Yi Xiao and become the new lord of Night City in the future. Under such circumstances, the principal actually chose him to become a direct student. Is there any conspiracy in this? Yi Zhe touched his chin, thoughtfully. The news spread quickly in the south. After all, Lan Mi is one of the top 10 masters in the empire and the strongest magician among the human race. She suddenly started to accept a direct student, which was already a hot topic. But now, this direct student is actually the young master of the Yi family, Yi Zhe. This almost made this topic explode. What does this blue power mean? Duke Wang En's face was as gloomy as a sky covered with dark clouds, with no trace of sunshine in sight. Preventing the family of demonized mutants from receiving too good resources, controlling the growth of the family of demonized mutants, and preventing them from developing too smoothly have been the unwritten rules of the empire for hundreds of years. No one took the initiative to break it. And he even sent someone to remind Lan Mi about this matter. The result is this woman. Don't be too outrageous. Not only did he take a little devil into the inner gate of the Zan Academy, but he also gained a direct student. Behind him, a close subordinate said respectfully, Your Excellency, do you need to report this matter to the Empire? Wang En snorted coldly. HMPH, do you think the higher-ups will not get any news about such a big matter? Confidant. That's right. Wang En paused and said expressionlessly, But it doesn't matter, the report is still a normal report. By the way, I can chat with the royal family and remind the royal family of the seriousness of this matter. Wang En knew very well that although he was one of the 4 great dukes, he had no control over the rebellious woman Lan Mi. Let His Majesty the Emperor personally send someone to find her and question her. Correct. Wang En pondered for a moment and then said, I heard that after Xiao Yesh participated in the assessment of the Secret Realm copy, the Black Abyss Secret Realm was suddenly closed. Confidant. It seems like this. Wang En thought to himself that although Lan Mi has always been rebellious and loves to have fun, that woman is indeed very powerful and has a very high vision. She will definitely look down on ordinary students. Being able to accept her as a personal successor shows that this Yesh does have something special and outstanding. But he had also seen the genetic talent report of Yej's entrance physical examination when he entered the Zan Academy. Judging from the data, although it can indeed be said that the talent is extraordinary, in the War College, a place where there is no shortage of geniuses, the most can only be rated as genius or excellence. There are only 2 S-level learning abilities for the superpower profession and the marksman profession. It should be said that it is impossible to reach the point where Lan Mi can personally pass it on. Could it be that something happened in the secret realm? Did that kid get some kind of special ancient inheritance? Wang En was silent for a long time, and said in a deep voice, Send someone to find out clearly what happened in the Black Abyss Secret Realm copy that day, and why Lan Mi accepted him as his personal successor. Yes, the trusted subordinates responded and were about to retreat when they suddenly thought of another thing. By the way, Your Majesty the Duke. And one more thing. My subordinates have already mobilized 2 billion in funds. But on the online auction house, those 2 top-quality spirit-gathering pills have already been auctioned off. Oh, Wang En raised his eyebrows immediately. Who took the photo? I don't know, the confidant said. It's an anonymous mysterious buyer. Wang En pondered deeply. With a price of 2 billion, there are many people in the empire who can afford it. But with so much liquidity, there are really not many people who are willing to spend 2 billion to buy 2 red pills. Who is the one? Asshole. After Yi Shengshang got the news, he undoubtedly completely broke his defense. He punched and smashed the mirror in front of him, with a crisp and sharp sound. The expensive crystal mirror cracked like spider webs, splitting his face that was slightly twitching because of anger into more than a dozen parts. The broken lenses shone coldly on the floor, and his hand was cut, and blood dripped on the floor. He is unwilling. He is not convinced. In his eyes, Yi Zhe is just a little kid in the mysterious realm. Although Yej has 2S-level professional learning talents, the upper limit of the superpower and marksman professions is not as high as his upper limit as an S-level immortal cultivator. Even though he was of the same demonized gene mutant bloodline, he was treated so differently, which really made him feel very annoyed. Maid, Yi Shengshang yelled cursingly. Why does everyone prefer Yi Zhe? It doesn't matter that my grandfather prefers him. Actually, even the principal of Zan College prefers him, but he's obviously a waste with mediocre talent. Master Shengshang, please don't worry. An old servant stood beside him and said in a low voice, I think there must be a lot of fishiness in this matter. Logically speaking, the inner sect of the academy should not accept demonized human students. But he not only entered the inner gate, but also became the principal's personal student. Yi Shengshang clenched his fists, and the veins clearly popped out on his strong arms. He knew very well what kind of characters Lan Mi's 4 former direct students were. One is the current female protector of the Qin Empire, the chief high priest, the current manager of the Yin Yang Company, the chairman of the famous Chaebol Group, and the richest man in the capital. One is a wandering swordsman who is known as the strongest warrior in the human race. He is also known as the strongest weapons master. He is good at using all melee weapons. He is now traveling around the land of all races. It is said that he has been with several dark saints. Race lords have fought each other without losing. There is another one who is said to have dragon blood and is a princess of the dragon clan. The friendly relationship between the human race and the dragon clan for so many years has been maintained by the relationship between this princess and Lan Mi. The last one is even more mysterious. Almost no one knows her background and whereabouts. Yi Shengshang's face was filled with gloom. He originally thought that after entering the inner gate, he would already have his seat as the head of the Yi family. I never expected such an accident to happen. I really don't know what the principal is blind about. Yi Shengshang's expression was gloomy. Is it because Yi Xiao secretly gave the principal some better and more precious gift? His father once told him that favors and exchange of interests are the most important things in the world. In the circle of imperial nobles, as long as they are good at utilizing these 2 things, there are very few things that cannot be accomplished. The old servant reminded, Master Shengshang, I think you should not underestimate Master Yi Zhe too much. Huh, Yi Shengshang glanced at him coldly. What do you mean? The old servant said, that night, you fought against young Master Yi Zhe. Although he attacked you sneakily and you didn't have time to defend yourself, you really had no room to fight back, right? Quote. Yi Shengshang's face became increasingly gloomy. The words, no room to fight back, were like several tons of heavy boulders, which hit his heart heavily for a while. What do you mean? The old servant lowered his head, unaware of the depression and coldness in Yi Shengshang's voice. I want to say that although young Master Yi Ji's physical examination talent shows average data, he is a second-level Imperial Master of the mysterious realm. The Beast Master is actually able to suppress you, a first-level immortal cultivator. I think his talent may be more than what is shown on paper. Ah! Before he finished speaking, the old servant's body was lifted up directly, his feet left the ground, and his face was full of panic. Yi Shengshang strangled the old servant's neck with his hands, raised him above his head, and stared at him expressionlessly. Come on, tell me, what does no room for fighting back mean? I didn't mean. The old servant's face was red with furrows, and his words were slurred. He looked completely out of breath. Tell me, what does no room for retaliation mean? I was attacked by him in a sneak attack. A sneak attack. Do you understand? Yi Shengshang's face was ferocious and he roared hysterically. If he hadn't made a sneak attack and was like a useless beast master like him, I could easily kill him with one move. I am an immortal cultivator with S-level learning ability. Quote. As he spoke, his hand holding the old servant's throat became powerful. Crack. The old servant's body was like a kite with its strings broken. It fell to the ground with a plop, and could no longer move. The other subordinates next to him all looked frightened, trembling, and did not dare to say a word. Okay, the rest of you, do you have anything else you want to say? Yi Shengshang turned around and looked at them with evil eyes. A young subordinate rolled his eyes, climbed up quickly, and said with a sneer, Master Shengshang, I think you were right. Last time it was just that boy who did not follow martial ethics and plotted against you. If you confront him head on, there is no doubt that he cannot be your opponent. Do you need to say this? Is this the kind of flattery I want to hear? Yi Shengshang snorted coldly. Although he said this, after listening to it, he did feel a lot of comfort in his heart and his anger did disappear a lot. That's right, last time I was just plotted by that insidious boy. Yi Shengshang told himself this in his heart. The question now is, what should we do? Yi Shengshang gritted his teeth and said, he has become the principal's personal disciple. In the future, with the great magician Lan Mi supporting him, how can I compete with him for the Yi family in the future? Head of the family. The young subordinate smiled and said, isn't this simple? As long as he is dead, it will be fine. The dead will not compete with you for the position of the head of the family. According to the news obtained by my subordinates, in the assessment copy that Yej and the others participated in this time, a student from the monster class, Chu Ruahua, the son of the lord of Wanjian City, died. I think the Chu family must be in chaos now. Is there such a thing? Yi Shengshang was silent for a moment, but so what? It's simple. The young subordinate chuckled. Not many people know what happened in the secret territory of the Black Abyss, but no matter how this Chu Ruahua died, you can pour this basin of dirty water on Yi Zhe. As long as there is a little provocation with the people of the Chu family. Yi Shengshang's eyes suddenly lit up. Oh, you are still smart. Yi Shengshang reached out and stroked the young subordinate's head, just like stroking a dog's head. The young subordinate sneered and lowered his head so that Yi Shengshang could touch her more easily. It's necessary, it's necessary. Yi Shengshang grinned and looked ahead with a sneer. Yes, maybe I can stand with the Chu family and deal with this kid. Not only can I get rid of a disaster, but I may also be able to draw a powerful ally in the future. Hee. Now, everyone who stands with the Chu family will be finished. Lan Mi sat in the office, playing with a pen in his hand, and quickly made a list. This is the list of soul crystal exports for all foreign trade in Yasin City in the past 2 years. You don't know if you don't check it. After checking it, the numbers of several items don't match up. The missing number is at least several billion. Chu Ruahua was obviously not doing this alone. He only relied on his status as a student of the monster class of Zonjin Academy, and he did not have such great abilities. The Wanjian city behind him is the boss. Give this list to the law enforcement officer in Yasin City. Lan Mi handed this list to Earthsea. Earthsea took the list. Okay. By the way, call my Xiao Yi Zhe. Lan Mi pursed her lips like a little girl and said dissatisfied, you have become my direct student, but you haven't taken the initiative for so many days. It's outrageous to come and visit me. Academy, a certain advanced training room. Yi Zhe stood in the actual training room, a ball of hot black flame slowly condensing in his palm. Boom. The 3 training dolls that rushed up were hit by the 3 consecutive black fireballs he threw. The 3 dolls exploded with fierce black flames and exploded into a pile of parts on the spot, scattered in every corner of the actual combat room. Yi Zhe let out a breath. He opened his properties panel. Character, Yi Zhe. Age, 10 years old. Race, human race. Level, mysterious realm, 3rd stage. Life HP 1400. Soul Power MP 1405-1500. 4-dimensional attributes: Strength 85, Agility 91, Spirit 97, Physical Strength 95. Basic attributes: Physical Attack 253, Magic Attack 288, Defense 270, Resistance 285, Burst 300, Speed 270, Dexterity 265, Perception 290. Special attributes: Luck 5, Charm 10, Intelligence 12. Yi Zhe thought to himself that a magic thunderbolt would consume about 5 points of soul power, but a black fireball would consume 20 points. The skills he copied using the magic copy technique will not have a CD, and the power will not decay when released continuously. But if it is released continuously within a short period of time, 5 seconds, more soul power consumption points will be required. The first time is 20 points, the second time is 30 points, and the fourth time is 45 points. However, the power of the dark fireball is indeed not small. The combat parameters of the 3 actual combat dolls just now are equivalent to 3 extraordinary people of the 3rd level of the ordinary mysterious realm. In other words, a normal transcendent of the same level can be defeated in seconds with just 1 black fireball. Yi Zhe came to the corner of the actual training room and clicked a few times on the computer touchscreen on the wall. Adjust opponent level. The 3rd level of the realm. This time, Yi Zhe directly adjusted the intensity of the actual combat training doll to a whole level higher than himself. The floor of the actual combat training room was opened, and a steel combat doll was teleported up from the underground. Copy magic. Dark fireball. Yi Zhe's eyes flashed, and a ball of black fire instantly condensed in his hand, and he swatted it towards the charging earth doll. Sure enough, this time, the Earth Realm Battle Doll received a blow, and the blazing black flames dissipated. It just took a step back, and then rushed towards Yi Zhe again. Xia Xiao stood outside the glass cover of the actual training room with a curious look on her face. The little girl put her hands on the thick glass, and her eyes followed Yi Zhe's movement in the room, watching Yi Zhe constantly dealing with a combat doll in the training room. Shui, is it too dangerous for Xiao Yi to do this? Xia Xiao pursed her lips worriedly. He is only at the 3rd level of the mysterious realm, but he chose a puppet from the Earth realm as his training opponent. Could he accidentally injure himself? Gao Shenzhou shook his head. No. Really. Xia Xiao looked at it for a while, then came to sit down next to Gao Shenzhou, still turning her head to look at the situation in the actual combat room with some uneasiness from time to time. By the way, what are you doing? Xia Xiao blinked curiously and looked at Gao Shenzhou making a table full of cake-like things. Is this for food? Well, a snack. Gao Shenzhou said softly. I'm making a supper for Xiao Yi tonight. I made it with the treasures of heaven and earth that I collected in the assessment copy this time. Ah, you did, it's so cute. Can you teach me? I want to try it too. Sure. 2 little girls were sitting together making small pastries. Xia Xiao suddenly remembered something at this time, and whispered a little nervously. Shui, you and Xiao Yi, have you made any new friends outside recently? Quote. New friend. Gao Shenzhou tilted his head and thought for a while. Yu Li was introduced to them by Xia Xiao first, so he shouldn't be considered a new friend. So he shook his head. No. Yes, is it? Why do you ask? No, no. Xia Xiao stuck out her tongue with a smile and felt relieved. She thought to herself that Shuier had never lied to her. If Shuier said no, then there must be no. It seems there must have been a misunderstanding before. Boom, with the loud noise of a black fireball exploding. The Earth Realm Battle Doll finally fell down heavily. Most of the parts on its body were destroyed, and some of the black fire was still attached to its body and burning. Yi Zhe let out a deep breath. The final test result is that it takes 5 rounds of dark fireball to kill a 3rd level transcendent in the Earth realm. 5 black fireballs can kill a transcendent who is a whole level higher than himself, which sounds quite powerful at first glance. But in fact, in actual combat, it is quite difficult to use a skill like dark fireball with a normal rate of fire to hit an extraordinary person at the 3rd level of the Earth realm. The opponent was a whole level higher, and his agility attribute was much higher than mine, so there was no chance of hitting 5 shots. Human beings are not like battle dolls, stupid, rushing over without any thought. The reason why he could defeat Chu Ruahua so easily in the secret realm before was because he was already almost exhausted and had a lot of debuffs attached to him. He was able to kill the Black Abyss Demon Lord purely because of his back. He knew this boss so well that he knew exactly what he was about to fart every time he raised his hand. If you really meet a heaven-level transcendent who is intelligent, good at using tactics, and unpredictable, it will definitely not be that easy. Yesh has never been a conceited person. He needs to show composure and confidence in front of the enemy, but he must also always know his own weight in his heart. In his previous life, Yi Zhe had seen too many cases of talented young people who fell into arrogance after their success and finally disappeared from everyone. And in this world where thousands of races are in conflict, even a moment of arrogance often means death. At this time, Yesh suddenly felt that there was some kind of throbbing in his mental consciousness. It was as if something was calling him in his soul. Is it a demon seed? Yi Zhe pondered for a moment and opened the demon seed panel. Current stage of seeds. Germination stage. Life. 10,000 10,000ths. Energy required to advance to the next stage. 391 1,000ths. The seeds are absorbing the nutrient conversion energy from the surrounding soil. Plus 0.1, plus 0.2, plus 0.1, plus 0.2. Yi Zhe discovered that as the seeds continued to obtain energy and nutrients, some of them would actually be transformed into his body. I didn't expect it to have such an effect. In this way, isn't it equivalent to having a plugin that automatically upgrades 24 hours a day, adding experience to him all the time? Tisk tisk. It turns out there is such a good thing. Yi Zhe came out of the training room and saw two little green plums, Gao Shenzhou and Xia Xiao, sitting at the table in the hall outside, pinching something. Gao Shenzhou still looks so calm and dignified. Even though she is very young, she is already very skilled in making these snacks. Xia Xiao didn't know what was going on, but her young and fair face was covered with flour and cream. However, the girl's expression was still very serious. She pursed her mouth and wrinkled her little nose to compete with the flour on her hands. It was quite cute, and people really couldn't bear to laugh at her. Yi Zhe, what are you doing? I'm making some snacks for you, Xia Xiao replied babblingly, holding a pastry that was finally made with both hands, and looking at him expectantly with twinkling eyes. Does it look good? Yi Zhe squatted down and observed. Well, this is a pig head. Xia Xiao said with a smile. No, this is shaped according to Xiao Yi's face. Quote. Yi Zhe was silent for a moment, stretched out his two ruthless iron hands, and pinched her soft face from left to right. It's a shame that I just thought I couldn't bear to laugh at you, you little girl. Xia Xiao's tender face, full of collagen, was pinched and kneaded into various shapes by Yi Zhe, and her words were slurred. Ooh. Shuier save me, Xiao Yi bullied me again. Gao Shenzhou tilted his head and said slowly, but, aren't you very happy every time you are bullied by him? Song of the night, Xia Xiao stammered. No, no. Shui, don't talk nonsense. Ha, woo. Bai Shuiling lay on the table beside him, opened his mouth and let out a long yawn. The kitten's two fluffy snow-patterned tails were wrapped around its sides, curling itself up into a small white ball. Human beings are indeed strange creatures. Everyone likes to pinch and rub each other. And do the people being rubbed actually feel happy? What a strange ethnic culture. Didi, Yeji's watch suddenly rang, indicating that someone was calling. In this world, the level of technology is actually not lagging behind that of the previous life, but few people use mobile phones. Most of the time, communication and internet functions are completed on a watch. Yi Zhe let go of Xia Xiao's face and glanced at the caller ID on his watch. It was the academic director of the college calling. Beep. He pressed the touchscreen button on his watch and answered the call. A small holographic human image appeared in front of him. The face of Dai Hai appeared in front of Yi Zhe. He coughed twice and said, Yi Zhe, the principal wants you to go to her office. Calls me. Yi Zhe thought about it and thought so. The principal has accepted him as a direct student. Now, of course now. New. Drop. Yi Zhe hung up the communication and shrugged to Gao Shenzhou and Xia Xiao. I have to go to the principal. Gao Shenzhou. Well, we will wait for you to come back and finish school together. Night song. Okay. He left the training room and went down to the teaching building. Yi Zhe walked through a large campus before finding the building where the principal's office is located. The Zhanjiang Academy was already very large, almost equivalent to a small city-state. And the place where the legendary principal lives is in a very remote location. Very few students in the college have the opportunity to see the principal in person. Yi Zhe came to this teaching building and was almost stunned. Is this a teaching building? This is basically a castle, right? There were several guards downstairs in the castle, but none of them stopped Yi Zhe. They were as motionless as sculptures. Apparently someone had already said hello before. A maid in maid uniform came out and welcomed him in with a smile. Yi Zhe was taken to a large room. This room should be an office, twice as big as the classroom where he originally taught. A beautiful woman who looked to be in her 20s or 30s, with gray hair and blue eyes, was sitting behind the keel desk, dangling on a swivel chair. Picture. Lan Mi was sitting on a chair taking a nap when he heard someone knocking on the door and opened his eyes. His blue eyes were half closed and he looked at Yi Zhe carefully. Yi Zhe had long heard that the great magician Lan Mi was a beautiful and elegant woman, but when they actually met, the principal's beauty far exceeded his expectations. The attendant bowed slightly and then retreated, closing the door. Only Yi Zhe and Lan Mi were left in the room. Lan Mi always had a smile on his face. Are you surprised that I would recruit you into the inner sect and accept you as a direct student? Yes, Yi Zhe responded honestly. Lan Mi smiled and said, you are a descendant of a family of demonized mutants. Logically speaking, I really shouldn't accept you, but I think your potential is enough for me to make an exception for you. Yi Zhe was a little surprised. He didn't expect that this beautiful principal would actually state such unspoken rules openly. I'm curious, how did you do it? Lan Mi narrowed his eyes. A transcendent in the mysterious realm actually single-handedly defeated the demon boss in the heavenly realm. This is something unprecedented in the history of the human race. Yi Zhe, it's just good luck. Lan Mi circled a piece of his hair with his fingers. Well, it seems that you are still unwilling to tell me the truth. Well, I will allow you to have a little secret of your own. However, I made such a big exception for you this time. When you succeed in the future, don't forget to repay me, teacher. Song of the night. Okay, come here. Lan Mi waved to him and looked at him with a smile. Don't be so formal. Come here and let me take a good look at your bones. Yi Zhe hesitated for a moment, always feeling that something was wrong, but finally walked to Lan Mi's side. As soon as she walked to the beautiful headmistress, Lan Mi immediately stretched out her two white hands and pinched Yi Zhe's face from both sides, just like Yi Zhe had just rubbed Sha Xiao. Rubbing his face like glutinous rice balls. Lan Mi's face was filled with happiness. Haha, she is indeed a young lady, she is even cuter and prettier than the video shows. Song of the night. How does it feel? My new teacher, isn't he a bit serious? Woo. Yeji's face was rubbed hard by the beautiful principal. At only 10 years old, he was completely unable to resist. Alas, is this the retribution after bullying Sha Xiao just now? Sure enough, there is reincarnation in the way of heaven. School, principal, is it okay? Yi Zhe whined. Lan Mi reluctantly let go of Yi Zhe's face, then pretended to pick up a pen and wrote down a few things in the notebook on the table. Well, not bad, amazing bones, extraordinary talent, and extraordinary potential. It's a good material. Yi Zhe thought to himself, you just rubbed my face, came and went, right? Where do you see the extraordinary potential? Yi Zhe quietly glanced at the notebook on Lan Mi's desk from the corner of his eyes, wanting to see what the principal had written down in the notebook. I saw what was written in the book. Cute, well-behaved, not resisting, feels good when ruahed, delicious little fresh meat, you can rua often in the future. Song of the night. From now on, you will be my student, and no one in the college will discriminate against you because you are a demonized person. Lan Mi turned the pen with his finger. In the future, if any professor in the college dares to teach you because of your blood, wear small shoes, just tell me, I will hang him up and beat him. Yi Zhe. Okay, principal. Also, since you are already my direct student, don't call me principal anymore. Lan Mi said with a smile. Call me teacher or sister. Yi Zhe. Okay, very good. Lan Mi gently put down the pen, and then his expression gradually became more serious, and he said solemnly, Then, next, we should do something very important and important. Yi Zhe heard the words, very important, and immediately became serious. What's the matter? Lan Mi said seriously, have fun. Yi Zhe looked confused. Ang. Yuaning Palace. Lang Yuaning was sitting in the main hall of the palace, with a sullen look on her face, her eyes almost bursting with fire, and her body trembling slightly with anger could be felt under her wide purple fairy robe. The disciples standing in the main hall stood in several rows, and no one dared to say a word. I was afraid that I might accidentally offend this terrible master who always had a bad temper. Zaire, is everything you said true? Lang Yuaning's voice was cold. Has your senior brother really done such a thing that is worse than a beast? Xiao Yushi nodded slightly, but his face was still cold and calm. Yes. All the disciples looked at each other. No one thought that the senior brother, who had always been upright, talented and handsome, and was regarded as an immortal warrior by countless people, would be such a sanctimonious villain. Crack. The cup on the tea table in Lang Yuaning's hand has been crushed into powder by her. I never expected that Yi Zhe would actually do such a thing. This evil beast will ruin the reputation of our Yuaning Palace. It is really hateful and hateful. It's a pity that we let him die like this. Otherwise, if he were still alive, I would have to kill him alive myself. Hearing this, all the disciples in the hall, except Xiao Yushi, shivered. Of course they all knew the methods of their beautiful master. Although Yuaning Palace is the most righteous cultivating sect in the human race, Lang Yuaning has never been merciless in dealing with disciples who violate the rules of the sect, and is even colder and more ruthless than many underworlds. Forget it, just die if you die. Lang Yuaning sighed. Fortunately, Zaire, just be fine. If Xiao Yuxi's memory is really wiped away by Li Yiji, then her brain will definitely be damaged to some extent, and her future practice will also be affected. Li Yiji, this disgusting traitor, actually wanted to hurt Zaire. Let him die like this, it is really an advantage for him. At this time, a disciple came in from the outside, holding a watch in his hand. Master, I have your video call. It's from Principal Lan Mi of the Imperial War College. The rules of Yuaning Palace require immortal cultivators to cultivate their moral character. All disciples practice on the Immortal Mountain all year round. They are not allowed to touch electronic entertainment projects in the secular world on weekdays, and they must cut off modern internet. Therefore, disciples of Yuaning Palace are not allowed to wear communication watches. On the body, Lang Yuaning frowned. Lan Mi. It's that woman. Why did she suddenly call me via holographic communication? After taking the watch, she hesitated and pressed the connect button on it. A holographic projection screen immediately popped up. On the screen, there was a video, and there was also the sound of the conversation between Li Yiji and the Black Abyss Demon Lord. Is it you? Why are you here again? Of course I'm sending you new goods to Demon Lord. Hey, you seem more anxious than me. Probably no one would have thought that Li Yiji, who was showered with flowers and love in the human world and was known as the immortal hero, would actually cooperate with me, a demon race, in order to improve his own realm. He would even risk harm. Kill your own compatriots, ha 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 ha. These children are just ordinary people without extraordinary talents. Their lives will eventually be ordinary, mediocre, and tormented by birth, old age, illness, and death. Their existence will not bring any value to the future of the human race or the empire. But if they become the steps for me to break through the apocalypse in the future, then their value will not only increase 100 times, but they should feel honored for their sacrifice. Xiao Yushi was slightly stunned. Of course she was familiar with these conversations. It turned out to be the conversation scene between Li Yiji and the Black Abyss Demon Lord in the Demon Lord's Hall in the Black Abyss Secret Realm. All the disciples present were shocked. On the screen, Li Yiji's ambitious and evil smile made all the disciples present feel very strange. Good guy. There were still some disciples who trusted their senior brother, but they secretly felt that there was some misunderstanding about this matter. But after seeing this video, they were completely speechless. It turns out that there really can be such a big difference between people in front of people and people behind them. Lang Yuaning was also trembling with anger. This traitor. It really brings shame to Yuaning Palace. Blue power. Lang Yuaning said angrily. You show me this, what exactly do you want to do? Whoosh. Lan Mi's holographic image finally appeared. She was seen sitting on a chair with a leisurely look on her face. The background was obviously her office. Oh, I don't mean anything. Your disciple happened to have an accident in the copy of our student assessment. As the chief principal of the Zan Zan Academy, I must give you an explanation and let you know what happened. Ah. Lang Yuaning said angrily. Do you want to give me an explanation? I don't even want to expose you. Don't you just want to see my joke? Lan Mi was stunned. Ah. Ha ha ha. No, no. Clock, he, is it really that obvious? Lang Yuaning. Lan Mi smiled playfully. Oh, actually, it's really not a big deal. Even if you are from a well-known and upright family, it is normal for a few scumbags to appear from time to time. In my opinion, I'm afraid it's all because of you. The way of practice is really too old-fashioned and depressing. What age is it? It still emphasizes being pure and merciless. With a huge sect nestled in a remote fairy mountain to isolate from the modern world, it will stifle the disciples. Suppressed to the point of going the evil way. Lang Yuaning's face was cold. What do you know? This has been our Yuaning Palace's rule for thousands of years. It is a rule set by our ancestors and has never changed. Lan Mi. Just because it has never changed, don't you think we should change in line with the times? Lang Yuaningtan opened her mouth slightly and was about to say something. Lan Mi interrupted her. Forget it, I know you are definitely not convinced, and you are going to talk about a lot of ancestors' admonitions and a lot of vague truths, and I am not interested in listening to it. I'm looking for you today not only to mock you, but also for another reason. Lang Yuaning hummed. What's the matter? A playful smile appeared on Lan Mi's lips. Your disciple Xiao Yushi was almost wiped out of his memory when he was in the Black Abyss secret realm. You should know very well what would have happened if Xiao Yushi had faced Li Yiji and the Black Abyss Demon King alone in the dungeon. Lang Yuaning frowned. What exactly do you want to say? Lan Mi smiled and said, I mean, you should at least say thank you to that kid from the Yi family, right? Lang Yuaning's eyes widened. What did you say? Don't you think it should be? Ha, he himself is also a breaker of the Black Abyss secret realm. He fights against the Black Abyss Demon Lord for his own benefit. Why should I thank him? Isn't it a bit shameful to say this? Even if it is a little help, you should be grateful. The so-called drop of kindness will be repaid by a spring. What's more, I really saved your disciple once. Isn't your Yuaning Palace is it an upright person from a distinguished family who pays attention to uprightness, etiquette, justice and shame? Shouldn't he not understand this principle? Quote. Besides, you can ask your precious apprentice. Lan Mi said with a smile. When she was in the Black Abyss copy, did she receive any other help from Xiao Yesh? Lang Yuaning bit her lip gently, then turned to look at Xiao Yushi. Zaire, is it true? He has helped you. Xiao Yushi looked calm, nodded, and responded softly. Yes, he did give me a lot of help. Otherwise, it might be difficult for me to walk to the Lord's Hall of the Black Abyss Demon Lord. Lang Yuaning. Lan Mi said with a smile. Hey, did you hear it? If you don't believe what I said, don't you also believe what your precious apprentice said? Lang Yuaning. Lan Mi said. Or do you want me to show you the video of your disciple being helped? Quote. No need. Lang Yuaning glared at her. Since what Zaire said is true and she really received help from the young master of the Yi family, I will naturally ask her someday. When he expresses his gratitude, he will also return the favor. Oh, what are you going to do some other time? Lan Mi said, turning the screen so that the camera was facing Yi Ji's innocent and confused face. Come, he is here with me now. Please thank him in person. Song of the night. Lang Yuaning gritted her teeth. Lan. Power. Hey, Lan Mi was still smiling. What's wrong, Yuning? Why do you look so angry? You do this deliberately. Yes. Quote. Why, your Yuaning Palace, as an upright immortal sect, shouldn't you be unable to even say thank you? Quote. Xiao Yuaning, you must know that as a master, your words and deeds can be said to represent your own sect, and will also affect the conduct of your disciples in the future. You should not want your Yuaning Palace to be said to be. Are they a group of arrogant, ungrateful people? Quote. Or, that's enough. Lang Yuaning took a deep breath and spit it out. In any case, since Zaire was rescued by the young master of the Yi family, we, Yuaning Palace, owe him a favor. I would like to thank him. Okay, this is the magnanimity that a distinguished person should have. Lan Mi said, asking Yi Jie to face the screen. Come on, start your performance. Yi Jie just felt a little bit dumbfounded. Only now did he understand what Lan Mi meant by having fun. Lang Yuaning was seen slowly coming to the camera. Yi Jie finally saw Lang Yuaning in the picture. This is the legendary palace master of the Yuaning Palace, the #1 immortal cultivating sect in the human race. Many people who have never met Lang Yuaning, only heard her name, or heard about her legends, will definitely think that she is a stern and ruthless middle-aged woman with a cold face. However, in fact, Lang Yuaning's appearance is that she is only in her teens, and her appearance is quite young, with a baby face, and she is not tall, not even 1.6 meters tall, so at first glance she looks taller than Xiao Yushi is even younger. Picture. Many disciples who have just entered the sect will even regard her as their junior sister when they see her for the first time. Only after they endured severe torture later did they realize the horror of their 1,000-year-old child-faced master. When Yi Jie saw that face, he thought to himself, my dear, this image is even more childish than the one in the game CG. Is this the legendary Yu Jiayin's Lolita face? Thank you. Lang Yuaning stood in front of Yi Jie's holographic projection and said thanks through gritted teeth. You helped Zaire once, so I, Yuaning Palace, owe you a favor. If anything happens to your Yi family in the future, I, Yu Ning, will definitely help. Lan Mi blinked at the side and said, Xiao Ningning, the way you gnash your teeth is so scary. Those who know it think you are saying thank you, and those who don't know think you are going to eat my little night song. You should be careful. Lang Yuaning glared at her angrily. My thanks to Zaire's benefactor has nothing to do with you, the principal. Okay, I won't say anything. Don't be so angry. Lan Mi smiled and turned to Yi Jie. How about Yi Jie, do you accept her thanks? Yi Jie shrugged. I don't care. Doesn't matter. In the main hall of Yuaning Palace, all the disciples and elders couldn't help showing expressions of astonishment when they heard this. Being able to get the palace master of Yuaning Palace, the first sect of immortal cultivators, to personally promise a favor is an opportunity that many people only ask for. This guy actually said it doesn't matter. A female elder thought to herself. Sure enough, he is still a 10-year-old child after all. When he grows up, if he thinks about this incident, he will definitely regret what he said at the beginning, right? Lang Yuaning snorted softly. This little kid has learned to act cool at such a young age. However, she certainly wouldn't care about a 10-year-old child. It doesn't matter whether you have it or not, I, Lang Yuaning, will definitely repay the favor you owe me. Lang Yuaning said, glaring at Lan Mi who was smiling and having fun behind Yi Jie, is this okay? Well, Lan Mi put her finger to her mouth, with a slightly reluctant expression. Well, since Xiao Yej doesn't care anymore, then of course I, as a teacher, have nothing to say. Quote. Teacher. Lang Yuaning looked at her and asked, so that rumor is true? Did you really accept him as your direct student? Yeah, what's wrong? You should know that the current leader of the human race, His Majesty the Emperor. Lang Yuaning paused mid-sentence, looked at Yi Jie next to Lan Mi, and stopped when he was about to speak. Forget it. Well, you can take care of yourself. Okay, then I'll hang up now. Bye-bye to Xiao Ningning. Lan Mi blew a kiss to Lang Yuaning with a smile across the screen. Next time you Yuaning Palace disciples cause scandal again, I will all call you again for fun. Lang Yuaning's beautiful eyes glared. You. Before she could really get angry, Lan Mi had already hung up the holographic communication. This blew power. Lang Yuaning was so angry that she gritted her teeth, but had nowhere to vent, which made her feel very angry. None of the disciples dared to say a word. They all know that no matter what, they must not anger the master when she is angry. Otherwise they won't have any good fruit to eat for the next whole year. You all go down. Lang Yuaning waved her broad sleeves. I'll have a few words with Zaire alone. Yes. All the disciples and elders who were in a tense mood seemed to be relieved, and they all laughed one after another. Zaire, tell me, what happened to you in the secret territory of the Black Abyss? Lang Yuaning glanced at Xiao Yushi. Did that little devil really help you? Xiao Yushi nodded slightly. Yes. Then they briefly told everything that happened when they were in the secret realm. Really? Lang Yuaning's beautiful little eyebrows raised. That little devil will actually help you. But soon, Lang Yuaning also figured it out. I'm afraid that the little devil had long expected that Yuaning Palace had the purpose of repaying kindness, so he took the initiative to remind and help. Unexpectedly, this little devil, who is only 10 years old, can be so scheming. Lang Yuaning let out a deep breath. That's all, no matter what, Zaire just needs to be fine. After all, she has had no Taoist companions or heirs for more than 1,000 years. She has always treated Xiao Yushi as her own daughter. That's right, Lang Yuaning asked again at this time. I heard that the Black Abyss Demon Lord captured captive slaves from all races and imprisoned them in the Black Abyss secret realm. There are many children among them. Xiao Yushi nodded slightly. Yes. So, after the death of the Black Abyss Demon Lord, what about the captive slaves and the children? They were all taken back to Yejia by Yi Zhe through the teleportation formation. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Lang Yuaning was shocked. Take it back to Yejia. Xiao Yushi responded. Yes. Lang Yuaning frowned. Since it is a rescued prisoner, why not hand it over to the Federal Extraordinary Association? Instead, let the little devil take it away. Zaire, do you know what will happen to these prisoners and children if they fall into the hands of the Yi family? Lang Yuaning said with a serious expression. She knows the glorious deeds of the Yi family's ancestors. Yi Quan, the old demon of the Yi family, once led troops to fight against the dark alien race and rescued many prisoners. But they don't mean well. I heard that all of these prisoners were trained and brainwashed by the Yi family to become Yi family's dead soldiers. They were given the most cruel and cold-blooded training and became the killing machines of the Yi family. Speaking of which, what does this have to do with falling into the hands of the dark race? Respectively. Lang Yuaning believed that Yi Zhe took in these children because he must have wanted to select those with hidden extraordinary talents, brainwash them from childhood, and train them into warriors who would swear allegiance to the Yi family. And those without talent may become Yi family's handymen, servants, slaves, or even. Such a young child has to undergo such cruel and inhumane life and death training from an early age. How pitiful. Master, what do you think will happen to these prisoners if they are really handed over to the Federal Extraordinary Association? Xiao Yushi looked into Master's eyes with calm eyes and asked seriously. Lang Yuaning raised her eyebrows and said, of course, we will provide reasonable accommodation. Really? Xiao Yushi pursed her lips. They have been imprisoned in the well of Black Abyss for so long, and their bodies have been contaminated by demonic energy to some extent. They have contracted dark diseases, demonic eye syndrome, and demonic blood. Some will even become demonized mutants. If they really have these symptoms, will the Federal Association of Extraordinary Persons really care about them? Of course. Lang Yuaning looked at her doubtfully, wondering why Zaire would ask such a question. She said calmly, the Federal Extraordinary Association is a guild that unites all the righteous forces in the Empire. Naturally, it will help those mortals and provide them with full treatment so that they can live a peaceful life again. Xiao Yushi shook her head slightly. Master, you haven't gone down the mountain for too long, and you have been away from the world for too long. Now is no longer the era when the late emperor was alive. Lang Yuaning's face was dull, as if she had been struck by lightning. Zaire, this is the first time. To refute her like this, talk back to her. Come on, what the hell happened? War College, Principal's office. After Lan Mi hung up the holographic communication, he rubbed Yi Ji's face with his hands and played with it. Well, General Gu is indeed very good. Don't worry, teacher, I will definitely train you well. After Lan Mi was satisfied with the rubbing, he picked up the pen seriously and recorded something else in the notebook. Song of the Night. Lan Mi turned his head, unable to stand Yi Ji's resentful eyes, and coughed twice. Ahem, what, since you have become my student, this is a meeting gift from my teacher. After saying that, she raised her hand and 3 rays of light appeared on the table, gradually turning into 3 things. There were 3 things, one of which was the iron plate at the inner gate of the Zan Zan Academy, with the logo of a sword and a musket on it, which was a proof of identity. Yi Zhe remembered that Yi Shengshang also had one. With this iron card, you can unlock many permissions in the college, including higher-level books in the library, more tutoring classes from professors, and you can also rent many laboratories and training rooms. There is another one, which is a top-grade storage space ring that can hold 1,000 cubic meters of things. In the current version of the game, the storage ring is still a unique prop of the Zon Zon Academy. It was not until later versions that the plot gradually developed, and major families, forces, and companies finally imitated the space ring and developed space bags, space capsules, etc. Wait. In this version, a space ring is undoubtedly a priceless treasure, let alone the most advanced space ring. The last one was a small box, containing 2 elixirs that glowed faintly. Yi Zhe was stunned for a moment when he saw the 2 pills in the box. This thing. Why does it look so familiar? The best spiritual gathering pill. Yi Zhe looked stunned. He looked at it several times before confirming that he had seen it correctly. Lan Mi blinked. This is a red quality treasure. It is rare in the human country. Do you actually recognize it? Yi Zhe. Yes, I've seen it in books. I thought to myself that I know this thing so well, I still have a few of them left in my system space. Yi Zhe showed a strange expression. Could it be that? He immediately opened his game system panel and opened the auction house panel. After checking, sure enough, a system prompt message is displayed. System message. The 2 top-quality spirit gathering pills you placed on the auction house have been photographed, and the proceeds have been entered into your space backpack. Song of the night. Good guy. Not bad. He is well informed. He is indeed my student. Lan Mi said with a smile. I spent 2 billion to buy these 2 elixirs from a mysterious seller in the auction house. Although there is a slight premium, treasures of this red quality are rare. Take a look. Teacher, am I very good to you? When you grow up, you must repay the teacher well. Yi Zhe. Okay. Taking 1 pill of this kind can increase your cultivation speed tenfold for a whole year. Lan Mi said with a smile. Remember not to waste it. Just take 1 pill and leave 1. I'll wait until next year to eat it. Yi Zhe was silent for a moment, raised his head and said, in this case, teacher, keep 1 for yourself. Oh, no need. Lan Mi smiled. I myself also take some cultivation medicines specially made with heavenly materials and earthly treasures, which also have the effect of increasing the speed of cultivation, but they cannot be superimposed with this kind of elixir, and there are some of the effects are conflicting, so if you eat them, it will be wasted. Quote. Yesh was silent for a while and said, I'm just your student on the first day. Yes, it is indeed the case. Lan Mi nodded, and then spread his hands, but there is nothing I can do. There is something wrong with me. When I see good seedlings not being cultivated, I feel uncomfortable all over. Yi Zhe heard the words and smiled. Okay, I understand. He picked up the space ring, then raised his hand to store all these things into his space. Okay, you go back first. I will inform you when the next class is about to start. Before then, you should practice hard and don't be lazy. Otherwise, I will punish you severely and tie you up next time we meet. Get up and spank me. Lan Mi said seriously. Song of the night. I see. Well, go ahead, good boy. Goodbye, teacher. Yi Zhe bowed slightly to Lan Mi, expressed his gratitude, and then prepared to turn around and leave. When he reached the door, Lan Mi suddenly stopped him again. Hey, wait a minute. Yi Zhe turned around and said blankly, Teacher, is there anything else you can do? Lan Mi rolled his eyes and said, Hey, I just gave you so many gifts and treated you so well. It should be reasonable for you to come over and let the teacher rua for a while, right? Song of the night. In the evening, Yesh returned to Yejia with Gao Shenzhou and Sha Xiao. Gao Shenzhou turned to look at Yi Ji's face and suddenly asked, Xiao Yi, why is your face so red? Quote. Yi Zhe touched his face, thinking about how he should answer such an embarrassing question. You can't say that it was all because of the principal's cruel rubbing, right? Nothing. Xiao Yi, you just went to the principal's office. What did the principal say to you? Sha Xiao asked as if she was curious about the baby. Actually, I didn't say anything. Yesh smiled bitterly. I just gave me some small gifts and asked me to study hard and make progress every day. Really? Sha Xiao simply didn't think too much, and just clapped her hands happily, but you have also entered the inner gate. In the future, we will have the opportunity to go to school together and do tasks together. That's great. Oh, yes. Back, Yi Zhe had dinner with Gao Shenzhu and Xia Xiao. After dinner, Yi Zhe raised his head and asked the old housekeeper, "Butler, where are the 2 children I brought back?" The old butler bowed slightly. Back to the young master, they are in villa number 7. There are at least dozens of villas in Yejia Manor, and each villa has its own number. Yi Zhe nodded. Take me to see them. Arthur has been very nervous since he came to Yejia. After all, he is a child from a small border village. The most he has experienced since he was a child is poverty. He has never seen such a magnificent and beautiful manor. This is simply where the king lives. Beautiful magic musical fountains, majestic sculptures, neatly manicured gardens. Everything made Arthur feel so unreal. Arthur held his sister's hand tightly and was taken to a room by a maid. Although it was a big and beautiful place, Arthur was still very uneasy. He had also heard about a family of demonized mutants in the stories of the old man in the village. In the story of the old man in the village, it is a family of devils in human skin. They are the most terrifying existences among the human race. They are vicious and violent, unscrupulous, drink blood like hair and blood, and are murderous. The stories about demonized families can even prevent children from crying in the village. But no matter what, Arthur was mentally prepared. He gritted his teeth, thinking that it wouldn't matter even if he was trained as a killing machine and turned into a person who kills crazy demons and does all kinds of evil. As long as he can protect his sister, that's all. The maid of the villa first took Arthur and Yi to a clean room. Give them a piece of clean clothes, then point to 2 rooms and say with a smile, "Now, this room will be yours from now on, and the other room will be yours. You guys need to get familiar with it first." Arthur was slightly startled. This was somewhat different from what he imagined. He originally thought of lying in a dark dungeon like the secret realm of Black Abyss, where a dozen slaves lay together on a large bunk. After all, that kind of environment was in line with their status as lower people. Every day, he had to use his fists to fight for a better bed and the food delivered by his master. He also had to rely on his strength, ruthlessness and death to ensure that he would not be bullied by other slave children. This was when he was caught. Go and do things you have become accustomed to since becoming a slave. Even in the small border village, the situation was similar. In that no zone, the empire didn't care at all, so fists were everything there, and the village chief would only protect those who gave him gifts. Yi stood behind her brother timidly at first, but she was soon attracted by everything clean in the room. The little girl looked at the room with a cute expression on her face, her mouth slightly open, and a big stupid hair on the top of her head twisted from time to time as her head turned. Sir, I'm sorry, I would like to ask. Arthur stopped the maids and asked nervously, "Are we really living in this place?" "Sir." The maids were stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. Listening to their laughter, Arthur was somewhat embarrassed. He only felt his cheeks were a little hot, but he didn't know what they were laughing at. "We are not adults." The maid shrugged. "I am also a servant here, and this is a normal room. We all live in this kind of place." Arthur's eyes widened in surprise. How is it possible? A servant can actually dress so well. Live in such a nice place. A maid blinked. This is originally a servant's mansion. All the people living in this villa are servants of the Yi family. Arthur felt a little dazed for a moment. Servant, live in such a good house. Such good conditions. Could it be that Yejia really has too much money and no place to spend it? I still remember that when he was a child, he used to wander south with his father and mother, and went to work in the house of a certain quasi-yellow realm transcendent master. However, the quasi-yellow realm master wanted to squeeze out any value from them and turn them into human beings. Into humanoid cows and horses that only need to be fed grass to work. It's good enough to feed them, but how much more do you expect to have clothes and shelter? The maids chattered among themselves. What is this? Master Xiaoyi's place is even more beautiful. But only Master Xiaoyi in this world is worthy of living in such a nice place. Yeah, Master Xiaoyi is definitely the cutest and gentlest boy in the world. I really want to hold him in my arms and love him. Oh, it would be great if I could come to the Yi family a few years earlier. Then I would have the opportunity to bathe the young Master Xiaoyi. On my birthday last month, I even got a head-touching gift from Master Xiaoyi. Ah, I'm going to ask for a reward on my birthday next time too. Arthur, how does it feel? This demonized family is a little different from what you imagined. After a while, the maids left chatting and laughing, no longer caring about the two children. But Arthur and Yi were still standing stupidly in the room, holding clothes in their hands, neither daring to change into their clothes, nor daring to find a place to sit down. Yi looked around, looking at the white and soft bed, his eyes lit up, and he immediately wanted to pounce on it happily. But Arthur held her back. Wait a minute. The stupid hair on Yi's head trembled, turned around, and asked in a confused voice, "What's wrong, brother?" "First, wait for a while," Arthur said worriedly. "Don't touch those things yet, maybe there is a mistake." What if when he checked into the room, his dirty feet stepped on the clean floor inside, and he was told that this place did not belong to them at all? Trash like you, contaminated by the blood of darkness, do you deserve to live here? Look at your dirty hands, you've soiled my bed. That would definitely arouse the anger of the young master, and he might throw them away to feed the monsters in anger. Well, Yi didn't quite understand why her brother did this, but she still stood beside her brother obediently, turning her head from time to look at the temptation brought to her by the big white bed. The little girl's eyes fell on the table in the room, where there were several pieces of bread, milk and other food. In the Black Abyss dungeon, half a piece of moldy bread is something that requires risking your life to knock down several children who are several years older than them to get it. Yi wanted to run over and stuff the delicious-looking food into his stomach, but in the end he restrained himself. But she didn't hold back her saliva. The little girl looked at the food with a cute expression. Bubbles of snot and saliva came out from time to time, and then were sucked back. Ever since, these two little guys just stood there stupidly in this room for several hours. A few hours later, Yi came. He saw the two brothers and sisters standing here one behind the other, and looked confused. "What are you doing?" "Ah," Arthur was stunned for a moment. We. Yi raised his eyebrows. "I remember you came from a border village. Children of your age in that area shouldn't be able to even take a shower and change clothes, right? Or do you mean you can't turn on the water heater?" "Arthur. No, it's not." Yi raised her wrist and looked at the time. "I only give you 10 minutes to take a bath, change into clean clothes, eat a piece of bread on the table to cushion your stomach, and then stand in front of me immediately, otherwise you stop being a soldier. I will arrange for you to clear the sewer tonight." Arthur suddenly shook his head. Yes. 10 minutes later, Arthur and Yi stood in front of Yi, neatly dressed. "The dirty dirt on my body has basically been washed away, and there is still a bit of shower gel fragrance, and I look much more energetic." Yi nodded. "Follow me." Arthur and Yi quickly followed Yi. Along the way, many maids, servants, and housekeepers saw Yi and stopped and bowed to greet him. "Hello, Master Xiaoyi. Master Xiaoyi has become cute again. Master Xiaoyi, last time I accidentally entered the wrong bathroom. You promised to punish me personally, but don't forget it." Song of the night. Arthur followed behind, watching for a moment in a daze along the way. So, there are still servants in this world who actively seek punishment. Yi took them both to a room. The room is very large, a very large combat training room, with many training data recording instruments and many modern equipment. Yesh waved his hand, and two servants came over, holding a few suction cup stickers and sticking them on Arthur's body. Arthur was at their mercy and did not dare to move at all. Yi looked at him. "Okay, now, let the magic eye disease in your body take effect, and let me see to what extent you can control it now." Arthur said in a low voice. "Mysterious eye disease can attack at any time, but it is not something I can control." Yi said calmly. "No, you should be able to control it now." Arthur. Yi, if you want to control the crazy fighting power in your body, if you suffer from the magic eye disease, you must experience pain above level 12. If you can endure the past, you can control this power. And you have already. After passing this level, you should now be able to freely control the onset of magic eye disease. Arthur was a little stunned. Really? Yesh said nothing, took out a remote control and clicked it. A combat doll was activated, the combat system locked onto Arthur, and the mechanical body slowly began to move towards him. "Prove it to me." Yi Jie said. Prove it to me that you can not only control the onset of the magic eye syndrome, but also control your own power after becoming a berserker. This way I can use you with confidence and let you become my warrior. At the same time, you must learn to control this power in order to protect your sister. Good. Arthur gritted his teeth and walked towards the battle doll without hesitation. His right eye gradually turned dark red, and countless bloodshot eyes expanded rapidly, as if covered with a layer of blood ink. The whole face became ferocious and ferocious. The surging demonic energy escapes from the body surface, and the evil aura is awe-inspiring. Roar! Arthur rushed towards the battle doll like a crazy beast. An old housekeeper walked up to Yej and asked in a low voice, Master Yej, do you really think that people with magic eye disease can control their consciousness? Yi Jie smiled slightly. In this version of the game plot, there is currently no magic eye berserker profession among the human race. All patients with demonic eye syndrome are considered to be certain to die. They are also considered to be the source of disaster. They are crazy, violent, attack everything they see, and are tireless and painless. People can't avoid it, and they see and hear lust. Change. This profession was not truly discovered until version 3.25, and was classified as a warrior profession among human, mutated, extraordinary beings. It was also the most perverted profession in that version, bar none. This directly leads to the current game version being extremely unbalanced. As of version 3.5, players on the forum have another saying, an army can easily destroy a city-state guarded by tens of thousands of warriors as long as it has 500 evil eye berserkers. Of course, not all characters in the game can be transferred to another class as the demonic eye berserker is so perverted. The magic eye syndrome itself is a genetic mutation contaminated by the dark atmosphere, and the chance of acquiring this special mutation is not more than 1 in 10,000. After version 3.25, all characters with the mutant talent of demon eye syndrome were extremely popular in the game's character recruitment market. A completely untrained demon eye berserker has been fired by a lot of game studios. The price reached tens of millions. It is not easy for civilian players just to play the role of the demon eye berserker. If they want to form an army composed of demon eye berserkers, it is simply impossible. But this version, Yi Jie thought to himself, this version would only be troubled if someone tried to steal it from him. To people in this version, people who suffer from the evil eye syndrome are simply gods of plague, and there is no time to hide. Soon, there were waves of exclamations from the servants in the training room. Boom, crack, hang, ah, Arthur was like a crazy beast. In just 2 minutes, he tore the combat doll into a pile of scrap metal pieces with his bare hands. The old housekeeper was astonished. What a terrible destructive power. You know, the battle doll that Yi Jie just activated has the strength of the 9th level of the Earth realm. There was a slight smile on Yi Jie's lips. Hachi, hachi. Arthur gasped like a beast, slowly turned around, faced Yi Jie, and walked towards him step by step. The old housekeeper felt nervous and quickly stood in front of Yi Jie. Young master, be careful. Yi Jie said calmly. Don't worry, it's okay. The old housekeeper was stunned. Thump. Arthur knelt on one knee in front of Yej. Master Yej. I'm done. Yi Jie nodded with satisfaction. Very good. At this time, some kind of throbbing and calling suddenly came from Yej's soul consciousness. Is it a demon seed? Yi Jie opened the system panel and found that the devil seeds had completed the nutrient absorption in the germination stage. The current stage of the demonic tree, budding stage. Life, 10,000 10,000ths. Energy required to advance to the next stage, 1,000 1,000. Status, can be advanced. Devil seed. After advancing, I can carry out a gestation or evolution, and ask the master to come to me to make a choice. Yi Jie thought to himself, it seems like he needs to go to the secret realm of Black Abyss. Butler, I'll leave this to you. Yi Jie pointed at Arthur with his chin. Train him well for me. You're welcome. This kid should be very durable. Old housekeeper. Yes. Yi Jie returned to his room. Since becoming the master of the Black Abyss secret realm, he has the ability to freely open the door to the Black Abyss secret realm anytime, anywhere. Yej took out his Yingyu, looked calmly, held a sword in his hand, and then suddenly made a cross slash into the air. Shuashua, where the straight and horizontal sword slashed through, a cross of black sword energy lingered in the air for a long time. Then, the black cross sword energy continued to expand into the surrounding space, and even tore open a black crack in the different dimensional space. It gradually turned into a cross-shaped door to another dimension. Chapter 71. Yi Jie stepped into the door of another dimension and came to the secret realm of the Black Abyss. Now, this place has undoubtedly become his exclusive domain. Through the demon realm tree, he can even sense all living creatures in this area. It's really a very magical feeling. Yi Jie came underground and in front of the demon realm tree. He was surprised to find that the devil seed that had just sprouted and was only in the germination stage had now grown to a height of more than 20 meters, like a mature and towering ancient banyan tree. The surface of the black tree faintly flashes with dark red magic lines, its thick and knotted roots penetrate into the surrounding soil, and countless radiating branches have completely filled the underground space. But Yi Jie knew that what he saw in front of him was just the roots of these demonic trees. And that thing that was beating slowly like a heart was now surrounded by dense tree roots. This has just ended its budding period. Yi Jie smacked his tongue and scratched the base of his ears. It was hard to imagine how big this thing would be in the future. Tip: the demonic tree has entered the growth period. Current stage of the demonic tree, growth period. Life, 50,000 50,000ths. Magic power, 10,000 10,000ths. Soul points, 1. Growth period, 1. Have certain self-defense capabilities within the Black Abyss territory. 2. It can affect the ecology of the entire territory and create more demonic plants and demonic aura. 3. Can breed demon creatures. The type of demon creatures bred is determined by the host that activates the demon seeds. Energy required to advance to the next stage, 0 50,000ths. Tip: the demonic tree has entered the growth stage and can be conceived or evolved. Please choose. 1. Give birth to a monster girl A. 2. Give birth to a monster girl B. 3. Give birth to a monster girl C. 4. Give birth to a monster girl D. 5. Evolve the roots of the demonic tree to gain stronger self-defense capabilities and make it more aggressive to attack enemies invading the field. Song of the Night. No. Why are there only monster girls? Yi Jie looked weird. Evolving tree roots and gaining stronger self-defense capabilities seems not necessary yet. Anyway, the Black Abyss secret realm is now closed, and no other enemies will come in for the time being. If you don't choose to evolve, you have to choose any one from 1 to 4. After Yi Jie thought for a moment, he chose 4. 4. Give birth to a monster girl D. Under pregnancy. Consumption. 1 soul point, 10,000 magic points. Remaining time, 10 minutes. 10 minutes later. I saw a huge crimson bud connected by many roots of the demon realm tree, which suddenly trembled faintly a few times. Yi Jie stood up from the ground. Are you ready? The huge bud slowly bloomed. A dark red-haired demon woman appeared in front of him. The woman lowered her head and still closed her eyes, as if she was not yet fully awake. Her crimson hair was extremely long, hanging from her head to the ground. Those long blood-red hair are connected to the crimson flower of the devil that gave birth to her, like an umbilical cord, and they seem to be still slowly absorbing the remaining nutrients of those flowers of the devil. After a few more seconds, the woman slowly opened her eyes. Her appearance was amazingly delicate, beautiful, mature and charming. She looked like an absolute stunner. A pair of heterochromatic eyes showed a bit of confusion. Master. Picture. Yi Jie thought to himself, it seems that this is not an ordinary demon creature. It can speak as soon as it is born, and it is human language. Do you speak human language? Yi Jie stared at her and asked. Both the disaster spirit and the white blood spirit emerged. One emerged from the black mist and landed on his shoulder. The other had a cat head emerging from his collar. Together with him, they looked curiously at the beautiful red man in front of them. The demon-born eldest sister. The red-haired demon woman seemed to have not yet fully awakened. She seemed to be talking in a dream, half opening her eyes in confusion, and whispered intermittently, I am, the cells of the demon realm tree, and the masters. The product of cell, fusion. I will learn the master's language and basic cognition. Well, Yesh touched his chin. Then I'm not yours, forget it. By the way, what's your name? The red-haired demon woman paused, and then slowly uttered 2 words. Red, Coco, 4th tone. Honko. Is this your name? Yes. Yi Zhe pondered for a moment, thought about it, and then asked, Honko, is your main ability the setting? Honko answered very slowly. I am, the consciousness split from the demon realm tree. I can help you manage the entire demon realm and make the demon realm tree breed faster, an evolution, to create demon warriors for you, and my combat power will increase with the growth of the demon world tree. Devil world. Yi Zhe was stunned. Honko said. Yes, the demon world in ancient times has been destroyed. But where the demon tree grows, a new demon world will slowly be formed, and a new demon world will slowly be born. Demonic life forms a new demonic civilization. She paused, her eyebrows furrowed slightly, as if she was enduring some kind of pain, and then continued, Master, I have transmitted the entire expandable sphere of influence of the entire demon world to you through my consciousness. Quote. Yi Zhe heard this and opened his game system panel. Sure enough, a new reminder came from the system. The map of the 10,000 races territory has been updated. Open the map. The entire map of the Black Abyss secret realm appeared in front of him, including Wanlin Valley, Jingling Pond, Dusk Forest, and peripheral forests. Honko said softly, the demon realm tree will take the lead in transforming these areas, because these areas currently exist in the Black Abyss secret realm. It will only take about 3 days for these places to be filled with demon realm plants. After that, the demon realms the power will continue to expand. Continue to expand. Yej murmured again, and then asked, how to expand? Will it swallow up the territory of other races on the territory of all races? No, Honko replied. The demon realm does not belong to the same dimension as the 10,000 races continent of the Earth realm, but is similar to the God realm and will expand space in other planes. However, when our power grows, you can also lead the demon race to invade the land. I see. Night Song is deep in thought. In this way, the entire Black Abyss secret realm will become a real demon world in the future. According to the rankings in the game data, in terms of the power of the major races in the entire 10,000 races territory, the gods ranked first and the demons ranked second. The Terrans only ranked 93 road. Yi Zhe smiled faintly. When the demonic tree evolves and matures, it will breed an army of demons with pure ancient bloodline. Even if the Empire is determined to destroy my Yi family, why should we be afraid? Yuaning Palace. The Palace Lord's bedroom. Leng Yuaning sat on her bed in her palace with a blank look on her face. Zaire was the child she watched grow up. She had always been obedient and well-behaved. She had always been regarded as her most trusted elder and would never talk back to her. Although the relationship between the two is that of master and apprentice, it is better than that of mother and daughter. But why has Zaire become so rebellious after studying at the Southern War College for less than half a year? Even contradicting her so bluntly. Could it be that woman Lan Mi who said something bad about me in front of Zaire and instilled some weird thoughts into Zaire? Leng Yuaning bared a small tiger tooth and clenched her fists angrily. Wrong. Last week, before Zaire took the assessment, she had just returned to Yuaning Palace once. At that time, Zaire still didn't seem to have anything wrong. It was only after the assessment that it became like this. Leng Yuaning narrowed her eyes slightly. In addition, Zaire's attitude suddenly changed so strangely this time. She always spoke for the young master of the Yi family. Could it be that boy from the Yi family who poured some kind of ecstasy soup into Zaire? Yejia boy, if you let me know that you taught Zaire something unfair, I will never let you off lightly. Leng Yuaning picked up a pillow from the bed and put it on her lap. She raised her 2 small pink fists and gnashed her teeth and kept hitting the pillow hard, as if she was using the pillow as a night song to vent her anger. Knock knock knock. At this time, there was a knock on the door outside the house. Palace Master, are you there? It was Elder Sun's voice. Quote exclamation mark quote. Leng Yuaning immediately adjusted her sitting posture and expression, smoothed her hair, and said lightly, come in. Squeak. A female elder walked in from outside the house. Palace Master, are you in a bad mood today? Elder Sun looked at Leng Yuaning's cold and beautiful face with confusion. I was outside just now, and I seemed to hear you talking to someone. Leng Yuaning, how is that possible? I am the only one in this room, who else can I talk to? You must have heard wrong. Leng Yuaning said seriously. No, you heard wrong. Oh, yes, yes. Elder Sun was a little confused. Could it be that she just heard wrongly? Lang Yuaning glanced at her. If you have anything to do, tell me. Elder Sun heard this and immediately said, that's it. Do you still remember that 2 years ago, I took some disciples from the sect to the border areas of the Empire for training, and by the way, I got rid of many demons and rescued them. Many civilians are suffering from infestation by monsters. At that time, there was a demonic disaster there. Tens of thousands of demons destroyed all the villages in that area, and all the land was contaminated by the toxins of the dark breath. Lang Yuaning nodded. She also knew this. But why would Elder Sun bring this matter out now? Let me tell you the truth. Elder Sun said. At that time, we found an amazing child there, a little girl aged 4 or 5 years old. She seemed to have very special healing abilities. Her body exuded the green light of the Holy Spirit, and everywhere she passed, all the rotten land eroded by dark toxins was restored to its original state in that moment. Lang Yuaning's eyes suddenly changed. You mean Life Mu Ling? That is a rare bloodline talent left over from ancient times. I didn't expect it to still appear. Yes, Elder Sun nodded. But that little girl doesn't seem to have truly awakened her bloodline, nor has she truly learned to use this talent. The effect of Life Mu Ling only lasted for more than 10 seconds and then ended. But it was in those short 10 seconds that she saved her brother's life. Where is this little girl now? Lang Yuaning asked immediately. I didn't have the chance to save her at that time. Elder Sun said a little apologetically. I'm sorry, Palace Master, the number of demon tides was really too huge. If I had chosen to lead my disciples to save her, we may have to give up the lives of many other people, and I'm not sure that the little girl's talent is Life Mu Ling, so. Lang Yuaning suddenly fell silent. Forget it, you made the right choice, you don't need to apologize to me. Lang Yuaning glanced at her. Then why are you still telling me this now? That's it, Elder Sun said. After the demonic tide subsided, I took people back to search, but the little girl was gone. I thought she had been eaten by those monsters, so I didn't follow you anymore. Bring it up. But just a few days ago, when the Black Abyss Secret Realm was opened, I happened to be exploring the area near the entrance of the Secret Realm, and suddenly I felt the aura of Mu Ling from back then. Lang Yuaning frowned. Is what you said true? Are you right? There is absolutely no mistake. I was deeply impressed by the events of that year. After all, it was an ancient bloodline, and this bloodline is so rare that the probability of recurrence is extremely low. Elder Sun nodded. I was originally thinking he wanted to enter to check, but the entrance to the Black Abyss Secret Realm was suddenly and unexpectedly closed. Later I heard someone say that Yi Zhe, the young master of the Yi family, seemed to have rescued many captives and slaves held by the demons from the Secret Realm, including many human children. I was wondering if it would be possible. The child from that year was also one of them. So, I ran back to the border area and found a person who survived the demonic wave and was in the same village as the little girl. I found some identity information about the child and learned her name. Elder Sun said. Her name is Yi Zi. Yi Zi. After hearing this, Lang Yuaning fell into deep thought. I see. So, this child was most likely taken back by the young master of the Yi family. Palace Master, this matter is not trivial. Elder Sun looked serious. If that child really falls into the hands of the Yi family, it might not be good. Lang Yuaning hesitated. But this time, Zaire still owes a favor to the young master of the Yi family. Elder Sun quickly said. Favors are small, but if that child falls into the hands of the Yi family, he will definitely encounter inhuman treatment, and will eventually be trained to become a killing machine of the Yi family. Think about it, that's a demonized family. They have no bottom line, are cruel and bloodthirsty, and can do anything. A child with the gift of life and soul, in a place like Yejia, who knows how he will be tortured. You may be lucky to be trained into a killing machine. Maybe, those demonized people will want to use the soul robbery method to directly steal her blood and life. Then her corpse will be dissected and studied, and then. Quote. When Lang Yuaning heard this, she couldn't help but trembled, and a lot of pictures were instantly imagined in her mind. Too cruel. Absolutely not. Lang Yuaning's palms clenched the corners of the table tightly, and she said with a serious expression, let's do this. You take 100 spirit gathering pills to the Yi family, saying that you were repaying their Yi family's favor, and then pick up the child. Come back, and if they have any more conditions, agree to them. Yes. Elder son immediately stood up and walked to the door. Suddenly he thought of something. By the way, what if the Yi family refuses to let him go? Leng Yuaning said calmly. As long as the exchange conditions are sufficient and the benefits are satisfactory enough, they will definitely let him go. Yes. Elder son turned to leave, but suddenly thought of something. But, what if the child doesn't want to come back with me? Leng Yuaning rolled her eyes at her. Do you think this is possible? Elder son scratched his head. That's right. After saying that, he started to walk out again. Leng Yuaning. Wait a minute. Elder son stopped for the third time, turned around and asked suspiciously, Palace Master, what happened again? Forget it, I'll go there myself. Leng Yuaning suddenly remembered what Zaire said earlier. Master, you have not come down the mountain for too long, and you have been away from the world for too long. It is no longer the time when the late emperor was alive. Leng Yuaning snorted unconvinced. I would like to see what the world has become now. ... The growth rate of the demon realm tree is faster than expected. In just 2 days, it has grown from its original height of more than 20 meters to over 100 meters in height. The crown and trunk have emerged from the ground, towering into the clouds. Moreover, the life aura emitted by the demonic world tree has completely transformed the entire Black Abyss secret realm, making the entire demonic realm abundant with dark attribute aura. Countless types of ancient demonic realm plants are blooming here. There are various magic pattern trees with different colors, some of which even bear huge devil fruits. When these devil fruits mature and fall to the ground, new demon creatures will be born. And the roots of the demon realm tree also began to spread farther away, expanding the scope of the demon realm. Night home, in the bedroom. Yi Zhe sat on the bed in his room, closed his eyes and practiced meditation. The demonic tree is connected to his induction. As the demonic tree continues to grow and obtain nutrients, part of the energy is absorbed by him. Therefore, in the past 2 days, Yeji's strength has skyrocketed like a rocket. The 4th level of Xuanjing. The 5th level of Xuanjing. The 6th level of Xuanjing. The 7th level of Xuanjing. The main reason why the demon world tree can grow so fast in such a short period of time. Krypton gold. The demonic tree can swallow up everything with energy in the world and turn it into its own nutrition. So of course Yi Zhe can also take the initiative to feed items with energy to the demon realm tree. For example, imperial gold coins. The gold in this other world is not even completely the same material as the gold in the earth world. The gold coins of the Great Qin Empire are made of gold rich in high voltage energy. Each gold coin absolutely maintains its value, so it can be used as a universal currency in this world. Even if you use imperial gold coins to trade with foreign races, there is absolutely no problem. It's a bit like the concept of always using spirit stones as currency in the novels about cultivating immortals in previous lives. Yi Zhe just received a huge sum of money from his kind-hearted, beautiful teacher 2 days ago. Now he holds more than 2 billion, and it can be said that the most indispensable thing is money. In the previous life, Yej never recharged money in the game. Even if he relied on the business system in the game and his pretty good business acumen to make some money by reselling materials and equipment in the game, he would directly sell them on the online trading platform. I am RMB, so I always wear civilian clothes. And in this life, he finally felt the happiness of Krypton gold. Call. Yi Zhe opened his eyes and slowly exhaled a breath of turbid air. After spending 200 million yuan, I was promoted to 4 levels in one go. After all, he is only in the mysterious realm now, and his level is still relatively low. In game terms, his experience bar is relatively small, so it is relatively easy to spend money to upgrade. However, the rise in the past 2 days feels a bit too strong. The extraordinary cells in the body have not yet adapted. 4 soul power nodes in the body lit up at once, expanding too fast. Level 4 is something that most people can achieve after several years of practice. And it only took him 2 days. Let's take it slow first. We'll try again in 2 days. Well, Yi Zhe looked at his hands with a complicated expression. It turns out that this is the feeling of becoming stronger without any effort. I finally degenerated and turned into a shameless money man. In his previous life, as the only civilian player in the top 10 of the PvP list. He originally aspired to become the first civilian to reach the top in history by relying on his skills without spending a penny. After all, did he still look like a Krypton guy? Yi Zhe left his room, put his hands in his coat pockets, and walked down the aisle of his big villa. A small figure caught his attention. Yi Zhe stood in the middle of the aisle, with a trace of confusion in his innocent eyes, and the big stupid hair on his head dangled from time to time like a guidepost. She stood at the door of a large study room, looking at everything in the room with a cute expression, but never walked in. Yi Zhe has already arrived in front of her. Yi Zhe finally noticed Yi Zhe, quickly turned around and bowed to Yi Zhe. Oh. Hello, Master Yi Zhe. The little girl is 7 years old, but due to long-term malnutrition since she was a child, her figure is extremely thin and her body is not well developed. She looks like she is only about 5 years old. Yi Zhe looked at her and smiled lightly. Why are you here alone? Yi Zhe raised his neck. Well, I was playing hide and seek with Sister Xiao and Sister Miyuki. But I got lost. Song of the night. Understandable. Yi's house was indeed too big, almost the same area as an ordinary university in his previous life, let alone Yi Zhe. Even he himself had not been to several places in his family's estate until now. Yi Zhe turned around and looked at the study room next to him. What are you standing here for so long? What are you looking at? Nothing. Yi Zhe shook his head. I just haven't seen so many books. Are you interested in books? Yi Zhe suddenly thought that in this world, it is not so easy for civilians to have access to books. Although the Great Qin Empire has been established for more than 1,000 years, many developments have not yet been completed due to the threats from all races. Before the death of the founding emperor, although he unified the human race, unified the written language, unified the currency, and built the Great Wall of Defense for all races, there were still many things that he had not had time to do. The human nation in this world is a world with a huge gap between rich and poor. Extraordinary people and ordinary people, nobles and civilians, their statuses are divided into 3, 6 or 9 levels. The steel jungle with bustling traffic and the slums with mountains of garbage and waste may be separated by only a river, the city with a very high-tech civilization and cyber style, and the serfs who can't speak Mandarin clearly in commoner clothes and pigtails may appear here at the same time. An era. Many times, if you travel between two cities, one day you feel like you are living in the future world, and the next day when you arrive in another city-state, you feel as if you have arrived in the old century when civilization was extremely backward and people still believed in various superstitions. Very strong feeling. Yi Zhe paused, looked at Yi Zhe and said, since you are interested, why don't you go in and take a look? Yi Zhe held his clothes with both hands. Brother said that we are servants and we cannot enter the room without permission. Yi Zhe smiled. This study room is originally used by servants. There are no important taboo books. Come in. Yi Zhe took Yi Zhe into the study room. Yi Zhe looked at this place in surprise, and the stupid hair on his head shook more frequently. There was a large table in the middle of the study room. Yesh placed a book in front of her. But, I guess you don't know how to read, right? Yi Zhe was stunned for a moment and nodded vigorously, yes. Yi Zhe sat down at the table. Sit over here. Yi Zhe hesitated for a moment, and suddenly she thought that her brother had said before that servants could not sit with the master, otherwise they would definitely be beheaded. But, it was the owner who brought it up on his own initiative, so it shouldn't matter, right? Yi Zhe sat down next to Yi Zhe obediently. Yi Zhe took a pen and taught her how to hold the pen, then held her little hand and wrote 2 words on the book. Leaf. This is your name. Yi Zhe smiled. Oh. Yi Zhe's eyes shone with indescribable brilliance. Then, Yi Zhe formed magic seals with his hands and silently recited the incantation. First level magic, spiritual reading. Putting his palm on top of the book, a magical white light fell and lingered on the copybook. I have cast magic on this book. Yi Zhe gave the copybook to Yi Zhe. Use your pen to follow the strokes on it and write them. The magic on it will connect your spiritual consciousness and directly give your brain the meaning of these words. Interpretation and pronunciation. This is a shortcut for students of nobles in this different world to learn basic knowledge and common sense. Therefore, in this world, aristocratic students generally do not have to spend too much time learning basic knowledge such as Chinese and mathematics, which can save a lot of study time. Starting from the first class in kindergarten, students will directly start the Enlightenment education of extraordinary knowledge, learning the most basic formulas for the movement of extraordinary power, mental methods, mudras, as well as runes and incantations. Yizi's eyes lit up. She held her book in both hands and looked at the word, Yizi, on it, showing a very cute and happy expression. Then after I know the words, can I also learn spells? Can I also help you, young master, like my elder brother? Yizi remembered that he and his parents once went to work at the home of a mage who lived in the quasi-yellow realm. There were many extraordinary books in that mage's home. His father said that it was precisely because the mage read a lot of those books that he knew how to use spells. That's why Yizi is so interested in books. If she knew those magical spells, she could protect those around her. Of course, Yi Zhe smiled, although he is not yet sure whether Yizi has the talent to learn extraordinary power. However, Yu Li is already studying the awakening potion. With her talent and ability, it shouldn't take long. Why did you come here? Xia Xiao and Gao Shenzhu ran in from the study room. I saw Yi Zhe holding Yizi's little hand and teaching her to write word by word. Gao Shenzhu held her knees and squatted down in front of them with a curious look on her face, looking at the copybook in front of them. Are you teaching her to write? Yes. Yes shrugged. You guys were playing hide and seek with this girl, and she got lost. When I saw her, she was right at the door. Xia Xiao looked at Yi Zhe and Yizi's hands and pursed her lips slightly. Xiaoyi, I also have a few drawing questions about power control in the academy, but I don't know how to do it. Can you also teach me? Song of the Night. Shua. Over the night city, a purple light fell from the sky. Leng Yuaning, dressed in a lavender fairy dress, suddenly appeared on a tall building in Night City. Leng Yuaning's cold eyes looked into the distance, overlooking the small city that had fallen into the night. Her purple fairy skirt and 3,000 silky silk hairs were fluttering in the wind, and her graceful figure looked like a fairy descending to earth in the night. A thin purple veil hung over her beautiful face to cover her appearance. The main reason is that she knows that her appearance does not really match her voice and identity. He is obviously the headmaster of the largest immortal cultivating sect in the empire. His voice is not perfect, but he has a cute lily baby face. There were several people who had heard her name before but met her for the first time. Everyone showed a very surprised expression when they saw her, and then they kept staring at her cute baby face. This made Leng Yuaning feel very uncomfortable. This is Night City. Yi City is the city-state territory governed by the Yi family, but Yi Xiao is only a viscount after all, and the city-state area is not large. But under Yi Jia's governance, this city eventually became quite prosperous, bustling with traffic, especially at night, with a dazzling number of snacks, and everywhere was filled with the smoke and smoke of life. I didn't expect that. I haven't left the mountain in just a few hundred years, and the cities in this world have become like this. Leng Yuaning felt as if she was in another world, and murmured, it is much cleaner than the previous ancient city, and the architectural style has also changed a lot. Strange, the rumored Night City should not be like this, right? Didn't it mean that the people of Yi City were in dire straits under the Yi family's tyrannical rule? Hufu, what does this smell like? Why is it so fragrant? Forget it. If you can't miss anything, let's go to Yi's house as soon as possible. Call. Leng Yuaning instantly turned into a wisp of misty purple smoke. Between a thought, Leng Yuaning's figure suddenly appeared outside the gate of Yejia Manor. Standing on a leaf on the top of the tree on the roadside, she raised her eyes and saw the magnificent Yejia Manor in front of her under the night. Several Yi family guards were standing near the gate, but no one noticed her, a super strong person at the peak of the apocalypse realm. Leng Yuaning was about to float down from the tree. Just as she lifted her feet from the white brocade shoes that were stepping on the leaves, she suddenly hesitated. By the way, after I go down and go to the guards, what should I say in the first sentence of my opening remarks? Leng Yuaning pondered deeply. Well, I'll find your young master and ask him to come out to see me. It's not good, at least he helped Zaire this time, and Yuaning Palace still owes him a favor. This seems too arrogant and rude. How about you just ask Yi Quan, the old man of the Yi family? But I'm not very familiar with Yi Quan either. Leng Yuaning suddenly discovered that she had never taken the initiative to visit anyone, and usually others took the initiative to visit her. If something really needs to go down the mountain, the disciples or elders in the palace will go and handle it. Ever since she was born in Yuaning Palace, her master has taught her that the main purpose of cultivating immortals is to cultivate one's moral character. She must put an end to the secular world, cut off her emotions and desires, and completely cut off all the trivial matters that disturb her mind. Only by concentrating on cultivation can she achieve great achievements in the future. Therefore, in the past 1,000 years, except for the war between the human race and the dark race 1,000 years ago, when she led the Yuaning Palace disciples to the battlefield of all races to help out, she almost never went down the mountain at other times. So, her experience in communicating with people can be said to be almost zero. It's like the social fear of being embarrassed to ask people for directions on the road. Lang Yuaning's face looked troubled. Oops, if I had known earlier, I would have brought elder son with me. How about, go back again and bring more disciples with you? No, no, no. If my disciples know that their master can't even communicate with others, then where should she put the face of her master? If word spreads, won't Yuaning Palace become the laughingstock of others? Especially that fool woman Lan Mi. I will definitely make another video call to laugh at her. Lang Yuaning took a deep breath. Slowly spit it out. Don't worry, isn't it just a visit to Yi's family? It's not a big deal. Is it harder than cultivating to the apocalypse realm? Lang Yuaning looked at the door of Yi's house from a distance, and her eyes gradually became firm. Let me think about it for a while. So, under the dark night, Lang Yuaning stood in the cold wind on the top of the tree, hesitating and brewing all night at the door of Yi's house. Night home, study room. Under the warm light of the study room, Yi Zhe, Sha Xiao, Gao Shenzhu, and Yi Zi, the four little ones sat around the table in the study room, with a thick book in front of each of them. The crow stood at the head of the bookcase, combing its black feathers from time to time. The little white cat waving two fluffy snow-patterned tails lay lazily on the desk next to it, yawning long from time to time. The whole picture looks quite warm. Yesh sat face to face with Sha Xiao, reading quietly while supervising her study and homework. Sha Xiao raised her head and glanced at Yi Zhe from time to time, muttering in a depressed voice, "When you taught Yi Zi to write just now, that's not how you taught her." Yi Zhe looked up blankly. Sha Xiao. You were just like that. Yi Zhe. That's Yi Zi. She has never held a pen before. Sha Xiao. Sha Xiao took a breath of air and puffed up her cheeks. There is no motivation at all to study like this. Picture. Yi Zhe smiled. Why, is there any difference in this teaching? Sha Xiao. I hate you. Under the table, the girl's feet covered with white stockings suddenly kicked him. I don't want to write, let's play some games. Sha Xiao jumped down from the high chair, came to Yi Zhe and shook his shoulders. Yi Zhe, stop studying your powers, come and play games with me. Yi Zhe closed the book in front of him and looked at her with a smile. What do you want to play? Sha Xiao rolled her eyes and said, for a long time, for example, riding a big horse. Song of the night. Yi Zhe raised his hand and hit her little head with a speechless expression. You are 10 years old, why do you still think about playing such childish games? Sha Xiao rubbed her head in grievance. Isn't it because you didn't play with me when you were a child? Yi Zhe shook his head helplessly. Not now, maybe later. After. Sha Xiao tilted her head. How long after? Yi Zhe. Let's talk about it in 8 years. 8 years. Sha Xiao shrugged her little nose and said angrily, that's too long. I think you are just trying to coax me. After 8 years, you will definitely find it even more childish and unwilling. Play with me. No, I promise. Okay, then let's pull the hook, and you can't complain when I have to ride him a few times. Sha Xiao stretched out a little finger and stared at Yi Zhe with her mouth bulging. Song of the night. Yuaning Palace. Elder son came to the palace master's palace early in the morning and saw 2 maids cleaning fallen leaves in the courtyard. When the 2 maids saw elder son, they quickly saluted and said hello, elder son. Elder son nodded lightly and then asked, is the palace master awake? A maid bowed and said, the palace master has gone on a trip and has not returned yet. Elder son was stunned for a moment. A day and a night have passed, and you haven't come back yet. It's strange. With the strength of the palace master's legs, 20 times should be enough. Why does it take so long? These 2 days were weekends and there were no classes in the college, so Sha Xiao stayed at Yi's house at night, sleeping in the same bed as Gao Shenzhou. Morning. Yi Zhe came to Gao Shenzhou's room and heard the sound of 2 girls playing in the water while taking a bath in the bathroom. Knock knock knock. Yi Zhe raised his hand and knocked on the door, and said helplessly, "Didn't you say that we would go to the magic amusement park together at 9 o'clock in the morning? It is now 10 o'clock, and you are not ready yet." The noise in the bathroom became quieter. Then Sha Xiao's voice came out. Come on, Xiao Yi, please wait a moment." Yej had no choice but to sit down on the sofa in the room and pick a book to read. At this time, a sudden shadow suddenly moved slowly on the ground. The shadow seemed to appear alone on the ground, with no objects around it. It was as if you didn't see a person, but saw a person's shadow walking on the ground. Yi Zhe glanced at it and asked calmly, "What's wrong?" The next moment, Zero's figure slowly emerged from the shadow, like a person slowly rising from a dark quagmire. "Master, there are several suspicious people who have entered Yi's city's sphere of influence and are acting strangely." Zero knelt on one knee and said in a low voice. "Suspicious person." Yi Zhe paused and asked, "Have you confirmed the identity of the other party?" "It's from Wanjian City. I suspect he is from the Chu family." Zero's eyes were calm. "The other party entered the city in disguise and forged his ID, so I think it is very suspicious." 10,000 Swords City. Yi Zhe understood it immediately. Ah, sure enough, what is supposed to come will still come. It seemed that the Chu family already knew that Chu Ruahua died in his hands. "Do father and grandfather know about this?" Yi Zhe asked. "I think they must know." Zero replied. "They also have many dead soldiers who are good at investigation." "That's fine." Yi Zhe nodded. "These people are acting strangely, and they have been wandering around the Yi family since we focused on them. They obviously have some ulterior motives." Zero said. Yi Zhe said calmly, "Oh, their intention is not a mystery at all. They came for me because I killed Chu Ruahua, the son of the Lord of Wanjian City." Zero showed a slightly surprised expression. Then he asked, "In this case, do you need me to capture them and bring them to you?" Yi Zhe waved his hand. "No, it's not illegal to enter Yi City. Night City has always been open to the outside world, and anyone from the human race can enter. Although they forged IDs, it was indeed against the laws of the Empire. However, even if they were arrested for such a trivial matter and handed over to the Imperial law enforcement officers, with the Chu family's network of connections in the Imperial court, they would all be released within 2 or 3 days. Meaningless. When the Chu family came to Yi City, there were only 2 possibilities. The first is to come to the Yi family to ask for an explanation for Chu Ruahua's death, but they have no evidence. When Chu Ruahua was killed, there were only 2 of him and Chu Ruahua, and at most there was another person who could use the magic eye to check the blue power of the situation in the secret realm. If Lan Mi wanted to betray him, he would definitely not accept him as his direct student, nor would he spend 2 billion to buy him the best spirit gathering pill. The second possibility is that they want to play dirty. Yi Zhe sneered. Obviously, their purpose would definitely not be the first, because in that case, they would not need to conceal their identities and sneak into Night City quietly. Then the only possibility is the second one. It is not illegal to enter Night City. But, if the other party dares to cause trouble on Yejia's territory, it will be different. We can do a round of fishing enforcement. Yi Zhe smiled and glanced at Zero. If they dare to do anything, don't let them go back. Ling's eyes flashed. Yes, I understand. After saying that, his figure disappeared into the shadows again. At this moment, Leng Yuaning was still standing on a big tree outside Yejia Manor. As a strong person at the pinnacle of the Apocalypse realm and one of the top 10 strong people in the Empire, of course no one can see her as long as she doesn't want to. Squeak. The big iron door of Yi's house opened. Yi Zhe, Gao Shenzhou, and Sha Xiao were sitting in a black stretch car, and the car drove out slowly. "It's the young master of the Yi family," Leng Yuaning murmured to herself. When he finally came out, since the child named Yi Zi was taken away by him, I might as well go directly to him and talk to him. But what should I say? If it's too fierce, I, the majestic master of Yuaning Palace, shouldn't be called a strange sister who scares children, right? Swish, swish. At this time, several black shadows followed Yi Zhe and his car, flashing rapidly in the bushes and chasing after them. Lang Yuaning glanced at the departing figures of those people. Strangeness. These people, like me, have been crouching in front of our house all night. It doesn't look like they are guards hiding around the Yi family to keep watch. Suddenly, the light bulb on Lang Yuaning's head lit up, and she seemed to understand something. I understand. Haha, as expected, I already know it. In this world, there are indeed many people like me who take the initiative to find someone but don't know how to speak. Lang Yuaning thought she had discovered the truth and nodded vigorously. Wanjian City, above a certain pavilion. Different from Night City, Wanjian City is a city-state with quite an ancient style. To be precise, this is a city-state rich in the ancient Oriental cyber style. The architecture here has a classical charm, but it is also full of technological fantasy. Ancient Oriental architecture and postmodern neon lights are perfectly intertwined. Wanjian City is rich in swordsmen, advocates martial arts, and prohibits magic and supernatural powers. Most of the people here, whether dignitaries or civilians, carry a sword on their backs, and everyone's sword also represents their status. City Lord Chu Wan and Yi Shengshang sat face to face. I still can't figure out how Ruahua died at the hands of a little devil who only had the Zan realm. Chu Wan's eyes were gloomy, and the veins on the palm of his hand holding the teacup were exposed, and he acted extremely impatient. When Yi Shengshang came to Wanjian City to find Chu Wan, everyone in the Chu family was almost going crazy because of Chu Ruahua's death. This played right into his attempt to provoke. Chu Ruahua was the most talented evil genius in the Chu family for a century, and he died so casually. Moreover, the Southern War College refused to give any specific explanation at all, only saying that Chu Ruahua died in the secret realm during the assessment. Of course the Chu family was furious. It wasn't until Yi Shengshang's arrival that Chu Wan finally understood why the Zan Academy refused to explain. Because the murderer turned out to be the direct disciple of Lan Mi, the most powerful magician in the human race. Chu Wan was extremely angry and immediately sent someone to investigate Yi Ji's information. With just SS level learning talent, he is still a little devil with demonic bloodline, and he actually became the direct descendant of Archmage Lan Mi. Is that principal blind? You must know that his son Chu Ruahua was originally the swordsman with the best chance of awakening as a sole swordsman in Wanjian City. He was his most promising successor. Although Wanjian City is rich in swordsmen, it has not produced a sole swordsman for more than 100 years. He has invested so much effort and resources into Chu Ruahua. He gave him 4 or 5 secret learning potions, fed him no less than 20 spirit gathering pills, and built him the best sword. He also found the best equipment enhancers and enchanters in the Empire, enchanted and strengthened his sword, and sent him to the Southern War College. With great difficulty, he became a core student of the War College and got the evil name from the principal. Rating. Who knew that he would be harmed at such a young age? Yi Shengshang smiled and said, City Lord Chu, you don't have to worry, I believe there will be results soon. After my cousin dies, I will be the best successor to the Yi family. When I become the head of the Yi family in the future, we can have more business cooperation. Then I will give you a 20% profit. How about that? Oh, Chu Wan looked at Yi Shengshang curiously. I remember that besides Yi Zhe, you should have many outstanding brothers and sisters, right? Why are you so confident and stand out? Yi Shengshang smiled and said, after Yi Zhe died, I was the only student of the Yi family to enter the inner gate of the Imperial War College, and Duke Wang En also promised me that he would help me obtain the title of head of the Yi family. Chu Wan raised his eyebrows, thinking that he was hooking up with Duke Wang En. No wonder he, as a demonized mutant, could become a core student of the War College. Okay, if you can really become the master of the Yi family, of course you can. After all, you have helped me this time. You provided me with the defense layout of Yi City and provided me with Yi City's fake ID. Chu Wan smiled and said, he wanted to make a profit of 20%, but he didn't know whether this kid was naive or an idiot. Sigh, if only the rest of your Yi family were as reasonable as you. Chu Wan said with a smile on the surface, look, in fact we are not targeting you demons. Transformers, of course we will gladly welcome and accept a decent, humble, and friendly demon transformer like you. Yi Shengsheng also picked up the teacup happily, still feeling happy that he had established a relationship with another empire boss. Sure enough, only he can truly lead the Yi family and be recognized by other nobles in the empire. Grandpa is really ignorant. That's why he handed the Yi family over to Uncle Yi Xiao, and that's why the Yi family has become this embarrassing situation in the human empire. By the way, Chu Wan asked him seriously, are you sure that the garrison layout drawing of Night City you gave me is correct? Of course, Yi Shengsheng said affirmatively. That was given to me by my father. As long as I am not discovered by the secret sentry in Yi City, it will be easy to sneak into Yi City and kill the waste in the mysterious realm where Yi Zhe was killed. After all, among the killers sent by Chu Wan this time, there are sword killers from the Shira realm. Even Yi Shengsheng thought that sending a Asura realm assassin to kill Yi Zhe, a little devil in the Zan realm, was really overkill. That's good. Chu Wan breathed out. He naturally had his reasons for sending a killer from the Asura realm to kill a little devil from the Zan realm. Because he absolutely cannot allow failure. The Asura realm assassins he sent this time were not only powerful, but more importantly experienced. Not only the experience of killing, but also the experience of handling the aftermath after killing the target, absolutely leaving no tail or trace behind. Because Chu Wan knows very well what the consequences will be if this assassination fails or leaves a tail. That's Yi Jia's crazy revenge. That family is a group of war lunatics that even the dark races are afraid of. Chu Wan didn't want to be targeted by such a group of lunatics. Of course the drawings given by Yi Shengsheng were true. Unfortunately, what Chu Wan and Yi Shengsheng didn't know was, Yeji's father, Yi Xiao, has already updated the layout of the outposts in Yecheng more than 3 times since the first day he officially became the head of the Yi family. These secret sentinels of the Yi family are like an all-pervasive dragnet, covering every aspect of the entire Night City's bustling traffic. Below the Apocalypse realm, no outsider can escape their surveillance. Unless the Yi family let them in intentionally. Night City. Those little ghosts seem to be going to a magic amusement park. A gloomy man, covered in a black cloak and with a bandage on his cheek, stood among the trees, staring at Yej and his car as they slowly drove into the magic amusement park. HMPH, I didn't expect that the little devil from the demonized family would go to such a childish place. Another killer in black turned around and asked, Mr. Black Horse, are we going to do it in the amusement park? Of course. The gloomy man with a bandage slowly pulled out a sharp dagger. A place like this is the most suitable for creating chaos and carrying out assassinations. Let's go, wait and see what I'm doing. Yes, swish, swish, swish. More than a dozen figures jumped out from the trees on the roadside. Then, Leng Yuaning's figure in purple fairy dress floated over silently, looking at the backs of these killers with a puzzled expression. Strangeness. What are these people here for? It doesn't look like social terror, does it? Inside the magic amusement park. Boss, how much does this cost? Yi Zhe pointed to a supernatural staff on the shelf of the stall. The stall owner smiled and rubbed his hands. This, 0.300 coins, but if Master Yi wants it, 200 coins will be fine. Yi Zhe took the staff, weighed it in his hand, nodded with satisfaction, and paid the money. Give. Yi Zhe handed the supernatural staff to Yi Zi's hand. Yi Zi looked at the staff in his hand, and the hair on his head suddenly trembled. Then he raised his head and said in a sweet voice, Master Yi Zhe, I can't pay. This is for you. Send it to me. But, of course it's not for free. Aren't you a subordinate of Yejia now? When you make money in Yejia, of course you have to pay it back to me. Oh, after Yi Zi heard this, a bubble of snot bubbled up from his nose with joy. As if she were harvesting a treasure, the girl touched the supernatural staff in her hand that was taller than her. Yi Zhe looked at her calmly. Last night, your sister Miyuki taught you basic knowledge about supernatural powers, right? Yi Zi thought for a while. Well, right. Yi Zhe, try it and let me see. Yi Zi, okay. Night. Sha Xiao and Gao Shenzhou walked over. The two girls were dressed up today like beautiful rich sisters, wearing the same white skirt, the same cat ear headdress, the same stockings, and each holding 2 cones in their hands. They turned heads as they walked on the road. Hundreds. Now, Sha Xiao handed a cone in her right hand to Yi Zhe. See if I'm nice to you and don't forget your share. Thank you. Yi Zhe stretched out his hand to take it. Sha Xiao immediately retracted the cone. Well, just stretch your neck. Song of the night. Sha Xiao hummed and said, I just want to try what it feels like to feed people like Shui. Song of the night. What kind of weird habit do you have? Yi Zhe was a little dumbfounded, but still took a sip of the cone she handed to her. Sha Xiao reached out and touched Yi Zhe's hair with a satisfied look on her face. Hee hee, the baby is so well behaved. Oops, I was wrong. I was just kidding. At this time, Gao Shenzhou saw the supernatural staff in Yi Zhe's hand and asked, did you buy this for her? Well, yes. Yi Zhe let go of Sha Xiao and responded. Is it a little too early? Gao Shenzhou wondered. I just taught her some basic spells about supernatural powers yesterday, and she hasn't finished learning them yet. Yes. Sha Xiao also nodded vigorously, and it's also a supernatural staff. If you don't have innate talent, you can't practice supernatural powers, right? You haven't given her the gift of firmness yet. Might as well buy a cone for Yi Zhe. Yi Zhe smiled faintly. No, not early, and I think she must have talent. Yi Zhe, try using this staff and show it to your two sisters using the knowledge you learned yesterday. Oh, Yi Zhe heard the words and clenched the staff with both hands. After a few seconds of silence, buzz, a green light emitted from the magic stone at the top of the staff. Gao Shenzhou and Sha Xiao were both a little surprised. But soon, the holy green light disappeared. No matter how hard Yi Zhe tries, he can't achieve it again. Yi Zhe seemed a little anxious. She wanted to prove her ability in front of Yi Zhe. Yi Zhe put his hand on her shoulder. That's enough. You haven't finished learning the basics of ability control yet, so this is enough. She actually has superpowers. Gao Shenzhou looked at Yi Zhe. Have you seen it a long time ago? Yes. Yi Zhe smiled. When fighting the boss in the Well of Black Abyss and falling into the dungeon, he sensed a flash of wood attribute energy. And unlike Sha Xiao's mutant water and wood abilities, Yi Zhe's abilities are very pure wood attributes. Based on Yi Zhe's understanding of the game 10,000 Clans territory, he believes that Yi Zhe's talent is most likely the legendary golden quality talent that inherited the bloodline of the forest sacred beast, Life Mu Ling. And now it just confirms his inference. So, Sha Xiao looked at Yi Zhe in surprise. Did you find a treasure again? Yi Zhe. Hee, yes. Lang Yuaning also entered the magic amusement park. What is this place for? Why are there so many children? Lang Yuaning walked among the crowd and saw various beautifully decorated cones, lollipops, candied haws on the hands of the children. Those things. Are they food? When I was a kid, I never saw anything like that. It looks nice. What will it taste like? Lang Yuaning stared at those things carefully for a long time. Snapped. Lang Yuaning gritted her teeth and tapped her forehead. Really? What am I thinking? I am the palace master of the Yuaning Palace. The head of the strongest immortal cultivation sect in the empire. How could I eat a child's toy? Business matters. Lang Yuaning walked forward for a while. Soon, they saw Yi Zhe, Gao Shenzhou, and Sha Xiao. There was another little girl with conspicuously hairy hair next to them. I saw a green light of the Holy Spirit flashing out from the staff in the little girl's hand. Lang Yuaning's eyes changed. Life is refreshing. Sure enough, Elder Sun was right. The superpower inherited from the ancient forest sacred beast has actually reappeared. So that thin little girl is Yi Zhe. Boom. At this time, I heard a sudden loud noise. The huge magic Ferris wheel not far away suddenly exploded for some reason and collapsed. And Yi Zhe, Gao Shenzhou, Sha Xiao, and Zizi were right under the Ferris wheel. Lang Yuaning's pupils suddenly shrank. What happened? Swish, swish, swish. The figures of the dozen killers appeared again, moving quickly among the crowd in the amusement park. Murderous look. Lang Yuaning narrowed her eyes. Could these people be? Help. People in the amusement park saw the huge Ferris wheel collapse and ran for their lives in panic. The four little ones, Yi Zhe, Gao Shenzhou, Sha Xiao and Zizi, were covered with a huge black shadow. Yi Zhe looked up and saw the huge Ferris wheel collapsing towards him. However, Yi Ji's expression was not panicked at all, and her eyes remained completely unchanged. Xiao. Oh, okay, I know. Xiao also looked very calm and clasped her hands together. Even if a 10-year-old child is usually childish and playful, when something happens, his psychological quality as a core student of the Zan Zan Academy is immediately revealed. Xiao. First Order Superpower, Condensation Barrier. Black Horse has always believed that the killer's hunting time is an art. It's like the hand of the god of death slowly caressing the face of the prey. Seeing the panic, fear, and overwhelmed expression of the prey at the moment of death is the most artistic picture in his eyes. After Hailey saw Yej and the others entering the magic amusement park, he immediately observed the surrounding terrain, and then planned a series of serial assassinations. Chu Wan has repeatedly stressed that this assassination must be at least clean. No tail can be left behind. If you are caught, you must commit suicide as soon as possible. Because Chu Wan doesn't want to be retaliated by these crazy people from the Yi family. Better to design it to be a tragic accident. Hailey thinks this is too simple. What he is best at is the art of creating accidents. Kill someone in person. That's what a low-level killer without any artistic sense would do. First Order Superpower, Condensation Barrier. Xiao used her powers. An invisible barrier appeared above Yi Zhe and the others. The timid Yi Zi exclaimed in fright, hugged Yi Zhe tightly and closed his eyes in fear. Yi Zhe looked at the collapsed Ferris wheel quietly. They saw the huge magic Ferris wheel that suddenly tilted and collapsed. After smashing through the colorless barrier, it suddenly stopped above their heads. Crack, click, the entire huge Ferris wheel began to become stiff and lumbered little by little, growing fresh green branches and leaves, and gradually turned into a huge round tree. But Yi Zhe knew that this was not over yet. This is just the prelude to the assassination. Really. Boom. Just before the magic Ferris wheel was about to be completely turned into wood, the magic stones hanging on the Ferris wheel suddenly collectively exploded. The magic stone is the power of the magic Ferris wheel and the source of this kind of entertainment project that can perform magic special effects for tourists without a magician. The energy of this kind of stone is generally quite stable. As long as it is installed properly, there is absolutely no possibility of accidents. But today it suddenly exploded. The exploding magic stone formed a large amount of explosive crystal dust, which spread in the air and fell all over the sky like snow. The black tiger hiding in the distance now gave a signal to the other killers who were ambushing around. When the killers saw this, they immediately understood what it meant. Raise your hand and shoot out several silver threads from your sleeves. Whoosh, whizzing, silver threads shot from the darkness from all directions. Yi Zhe looked down and felt that his body and legs could not move for a moment, as if they were bound by some invisible thread. And those crystals from the mana stone explosion that filled the sky were already falling from the head. Oh, there are so many tricks. Yi Zhe smiled secretly. Use silver thread to control his movements. He can't move now. If those magic stone crystals fall down and burn him alive, and then these killers take back the silver thread, it will look like an accidental death. After further investigation, it was impossible to explain why Yej was in a mysterious realm and couldn't even escape the dust. Because these silver threads will not leave any traces. Good guy, it's really fancy. How many episodes of Conan have these killers watched? Yi Zhe raised his hand and waved. Following the shrill cries of crows, strange black mist surged out, covering him and Gao Shenzhou and others around him. The crystal dust of the magic stone fell, clattering, forming a sea of fire. The next moment, Yi Zhe and the others appeared in another place more than 20 meters away with the black mist. Black Tiger's pupils shrank. What ability is this? I didn't expect this kid to have such life-saving skills. Haley's eyes turned cold. Forget it, we can't create an accident, don't waste time, just take advantage of the chaos in the amusement park to kill him. Then retreat immediately. He said fiercely into the Bluetooth headset. Yes. The killers lying in wait heard the order and appeared from all directions at the same time. 18,000 Soul Realm killers, holding various short swords in their hands, rushed towards Yi Zhe at the same time. It all happened extremely quickly. It only took a blink of an eye to arrive in front of them. Yi Zhe still had a calm expression. Gao Shenzhou, Xiao, Yi Zi and others next to them didn't even react. They had just been brought here by Yiji's black mist, and before they could figure out what was going on, a dozen sharp daggers appeared in front of them. At this time, a cold and gloomy-looking man appeared out of nowhere and stood in front of the dozen killers. With a wave of his hand, he controlled the surrounding shadows and enveloped the killers. Ah, ah, there were screams one after another. These killers didn't even see clearly how Zero took action, and several of them lost their lives in an instant. At the same time, other shadow warriors also appeared one by one. As if they had set up a siege net from the beginning, they began to surround and suppress these killers. They did not intend to let any of them go. Haile's heart thumped. Zero's figure was reflected in his pupils. This person is actually in the Shira realm. As for the other shadow warriors, they are all at least experts in the Vientiane realm. Haile's heart sank to the bottom. Then he didn't hesitate at all. Immediately move away and choose to retreat. As a killer, it is of course very important to observe the direction of the situation at the assassination scene and then make immediate judgments and choices. You must not hesitate when it is time to withdraw. I didn't expect that this young master of the Yi family would be surrounded by a strong man in the Shira realm, and there would be so many dead men secretly protecting him. And the behavior of that boy from the Yi family just now and the behavior of those dead soldiers were as if they had already been discovered and were deliberately waiting for them to take action. Could it be that their whereabouts have been exposed from the first moment they entered the city? Could it be that the secret sentry layout drawing given by Yi Shengshang was fake? Black Horse cursed secretly, but at this time, it's useless to say anything. This mission was undoubtedly a failure. The only thing we can do now is to retreat quickly, as long as we don't get caught. Black Horse's extraordinary profession is assassin, which is a branch of the warrior profession and the fastest profession among all professions in the human race. So under normal circumstances, as long as the opponent is not a big boss in the Apocalypse realm, there is absolutely no problem in escaping to save one's life. Even the dead warrior who was also in the Shira realm just now would never be able to catch up with him. Shua, a beautiful woman wearing a purple fairy dress suddenly appeared and landed in front of him, blocking his way. Black Horse, Heaven, Apocalypse realm. I seem to understand. Leng Yuaning looked at Heishi with a serious face. So you are not a social terrorist, but an assassin who wants to assassinate the young master of the Yi family, right? The black beast's mouth trembled slightly. The terrifying aura and oppressive force of the Apocalypse realm powerhouse directly suppressed his body and made him unable to move, causing him to break out in cold sweat. That's great. Originally, I was worried about how I should repay Zaire's favor. Leng Yuaning said calmly, raised her hand and lightly struck the black beast from the air. Puff! The black beast spit out a large mouthful of blood mist and flew backwards. The whole body of the black tiger flew out and fell heavily to the ground. Wow! The black beast fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. What the hell? What a ghost! Where did this powerful man from the Apocalypse realm come from? Leng Yuaning floated down from a high place and walked up to him expressionlessly. Who sent you to kill him? Leng Yuaning stared at him and asked. Black Tiger didn't respond, just showed a pale smile. Hee, I didn't expect that one day I would fail the mission. If the killer mission fails, there is only one ending. That means you must commit suicide immediately. Leng Yuaning seemed to see his intention, her beautiful little eyebrows wrinkled slightly, and she immediately raised her hand to grab it with 5 fingers, and an invisible hand of the void grabbed his chin. Crack! His jaw was crushed in an instant. In this way, he would not be able to bite the poison sac in his mouth and kill himself. Black Tiger ignored it. It's useless. Not only does he have a poison sac hidden in his mouth, but he also has a special toxin sealed in the veins of his body. Once the mission fails, he can use specific martial arts techniques to quickly circulate toxins throughout his body. Haile smiled secretly, closed his eyes, and was about to commit suicide by running his technique. However, soon he suddenly discovered that his soul power could not function. What's going on? Black Bull was stunned for a moment. He opened his eyes and found a strange black mist that came from nowhere surrounding him. And the black mist slowly penetrated into his body. What's this? Black Horse was surprised. Yi Jie is standing not far away now. He raised one hand and used the skill of the Spirit of Disaster. Skill. Doomsday Curse. Effect. Within a certain period of time, the special effects of silence, confusion, vulnerability, and dark burning will be applied to it. The target will enter a forbidden state, unable to use any skills, and cannot trigger life and magic recovery. All positive buff effects will be invalid. All damage received is increased by 50%, mental power is -500, and health continues to be lost at 300 points per second. The duration of this skill is determined by the opponent's strength. This move can directly put the target into a state of forbidden magic, which means blocking all the veins and soul power nodes in the body, preventing its soul power from functioning normally. The last time Yi Zhe caught the spy outside Yi's house, he made him use his skills to activate the toxins in his body, and then committed suicide. So this time, of course, he will not give the other party any chance to commit suicide. How can it be? Hailey was sweating coldly, but he still didn't believe in evil and kept trying to use his soul power to activate the toxins in his body. However, no matter how hard he tried, the soul power nodes in his body seemed to be blocked by constipation, and the soul power could not be condensed at all. Yi Zhe walked up to him slowly. Okay, don't try, it's useless. With your Shira realm strength, you should have been able to escape the effects of the Doomsday Curse very quickly. It's a pity that you were slapped by a strong person at the peak of the Apocalypse realm. Now the health bar and other attribute status should be less than 5%, and it is almost in a state of death. So, don't struggle in vain. Hailey slowly raised his head and looked at him in astonishment. What sorcery did this guy use? You should have a good sleep first. We will interrogate you slowly when you get back. Then we can play with you. Yi Zhe said, showing a bad smile, and actually took out a brick from behind. He raised his hand and called on his head. Well, Hailey's eyesight went dark, and he gradually fell into coma. He was knocked unconscious by a brick. What a shame. Yi Zhe looked at the unconscious Heihu and threw the brick aside. Not long passed. Zero, as well as other shadow warriors, also tied up all the assassins and brought them to Yi Zhe. Owner, Ling came to Yi Zhe and said softly, a few committed suicide, and we couldn't stop them. Yes. Yi Zhe clasped his hands behind his back and nodded lightly. Just now, when the shadow soldiers subdued the killers, Yi Zhe also took the opportunity to impose a doomsday curse on several of them. However, the casting speed of the doomsday curse is not fast, and there must still be a few fish that slip through the net. It doesn't matter, that's enough. Yi Zhe pointed to the black dog on the ground with his chin. Their leader has been caught, this guy must know more. Pack them up and take them back to Yi's house. I will interrogate them personally then. Zero. Yes, Yi Zhe asked again. By the way, are any of the tourists in the amusement park injured? Zero replied calmly. Yes, 19 people were slightly injured, no serious injuries, no deaths. Because you just explained that the safety of the civilians in Night City in the park must be ensured, so we separated a few shadows to protect those civilians without causing any serious harm. Yi Zhe nodded slightly. That's good. It's okay, you can go. Zero. Yes. After saying that, Zero and the other shadow warriors, along with Black Horse and the other subdued killers, slowly sank into the shadows beneath their feet and disappeared. Leng Yuaning looked at Yi Zhe with some surprise, with a complicated expression. I didn't expect that you would actually care about the safety of civilians. In his impression, shouldn't demonized mutants be cold-blooded and ruthless? It's fine if you don't dominate one party or dominate, so why would you care about the safety of the people? Yi Zhe gave her a strange look. They are all citizens of Yi City, and my father is their city lord. Isn't it strange that I don't care about them? Leng Yuaning. By the way, I seem to know you. Yi Zhe looked at Leng Yuaning carefully with pure eyes, as if he suddenly remembered. By the way, you were, that day in the school office, the aunt from Yuan Ningong who had a video chat with my teacher. Leng Yuaning. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.